Is this thing on? Good evening, everyone. Good evening, good evening. Thank you all so much for joining us for the May 21st, 2025 meeting of the Berkeley Unified School District Board of Education. At this time, I happily call the meeting to order at 7:40 p.m. Please excuse us for starting a little bit late, but thank you so much for your patience. And it is definitely a joy and a pleasure to see so many people here filling up our boardrooms, here for advocacy, here to support our student presentations that we'll see, and here to support other programs and things that we have going on in the district. There are people who are still trying to make their way in the room, so if you are standing in the doorway, I'm just going to ask that you kind of just stand to the side a little bit. That way folks who want to come in and go out have the opportunity to do so. In addition to that, just some other things around conduct. We are going to have a lot of presentations tonight. We're going to have a lot of speakers. And so if you could do us a favor by keeping your comments down to a minimum or, doing your best to maintain an appropriate voice level so that everyone has the opportunity to hear and the opportunity to fully participate, we would really appreciate that. In addition to that, thank you again for coming, and we are ready to begin. At this time, Ms. Chavez, can you please call the roll of the board?
Director Ana Vasudev.
Presente.
Director Jennifer Shinosky.
Here.
Student Director Winter Clark.
Here.
Director Jennifer Korn.
Present.
Vice President Mike Chang.
Here.
President Khadijah Brown.
Present. All board directors are present and accounted for. We will now approve the agenda for this evening. Is there a motion to approve this evening's agenda?
I'll move.
Moved by Director Chang. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Director Shinosky. All those in favor, please signify with the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposers? Abstentions? The ayes have it. The motion passes, and this evening's agenda is approved. We have a couple of student presentations, as I mentioned earlier, that we are so excited about. And so we will receive them at this time. The first presentation that we are going to receive today is in honor of Jewish American Heritage Month. If you are not aware, if you do not know, May signifies here in the United States Jewish American Heritage Month. And last year we were definitely in for a treat when we received a presentation from students here in our district who educated us, got us excited for the opportunity to learn about and uplift our Jewish American students, our Jewish American families, and our Jewish American community members right here in Berkeley Unified School District. And so tonight, they will do the exact same thing. And so please welcome them as they come. You'll see the Board of Education leave our seats so that we can participate and enjoy the presentation. Please, you are welcome. You want to do it from here? It's up to you. So you can do it from the dais or you can take a seat here. It's totally up to you. Okay. Are you going to present directly to us?
Yeah, we have a slideshow.
You have a slideshow. So we'll stay up here then, because then we're able to access the slideshow from the dais, okay? Welcome. You may begin whenever you're ready.
So I'm just here to quickly introduce. My name is Cece Mixa. I'm a counselor at King, and I have had the privilege of supporting our JSU this year. We have 25 members, but a lot of them are a dance showcase that's at King right now. So we have 2 of our 7th grade members here tonight. They're going to present to you a portion of our Jewish American Heritage Month assembly that they're actually doing tomorrow at our school. So pieces of it will be addressed to students because it's for the students at King, but they're excited to share it with you tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to the students. They've been working on this for weeks. So I know it's a little late, but hopefully we can all just give them all the support that they deserve with all this hard work. Thank you.
Say your name.
My name's Yitzhak Naftalin Kamen, and I'm in 7th grade at King Middle School.
I'm Ellery Andelman, and I'm in 7th grade at King Middle School.
A Jewish teen's daily life is very similar to the rest of your lives. However, there are many events and opportunities that many Jewish teens are able to take part of and experience that can connect them with their Jewish heritage and foster a sense of community with their peers.
Many Jewish teens attend Hebrew school. Programs often start when kids are very young and teach Hebrew, stories from the Torah, the Jewish holy book, and important parts of Jewish daily life. As kids grow, the curriculum shifts away from stories and more towards preparing for a B'nai Mitzvah, the Jewish coming of age ceremony.
Another important part of Jewish culture is summer camp. Camp is a place for Jewish teens to bond, have fun, and be their authentic Jewish selves without fear of judgment. Whether they are going to sleepaway camp like Camp Newman or Camp Tawanga, or attending day camp such as Camp Kitov, camp is the thing that many teens look forward to all summer.
There are several pieces of cultural Jewish clothing items. Some we wear only during prayer, and some people wear them all the time. Kippot, also called yarmulkes, and talit are used during prayer and given when a person has their bar or bat mitzvah. Some Jewish people choose to wear kippot all the time.
Many Orthodox women wear tissues to cover their hair after they get married. Many conservative and Orthodox Jewish men will put on tefillin when they pray.
Kashrut, also known as kosher, is a Jewish dietary law that tells you what you're allowed to eat and how it needs to be prepared. There are many specific rules that you have to follow to keep kosher. Some of the most common ones are that Jews can't eat pork and can't eat meat and dairy in the same meal.
Shabbat is the Jewish day of rest and is observed every week from sunset on Friday to sunset on Saturday. On this slide, you can read certain things Jews can't do during Shabbat.
Now we're going to talk about the Holocaust. The Holocaust is a very heavy, sensitive topic, and we want to make sure every student or person feels safe, so if you feel uncomfortable, feel free to step outside. If you feel bothered by any of these issues, please speak to a trusted adult.
The Holocaust didn't happen that long ago. In fact, it still affects most Jews and Jewish families today. The Holocaust lasted 12 years from 1933 to 1945.
The Nazis killed over 6 million Jews and 11 million people during this Holocaust. Today, 0.2% of the world is Jewish. If the Holocaust had not happened, there would have been 11 to 18 million more Jewish people in the world right now.
1.5 million children were killed in the Holocaust. Take a look around this room. There are on average 300 kids in each grade at King. If you multiply the amount of kids in this auditorium by 5,000, that would be the number of kids that were killed in the Holocaust.
The Holocaust still affects many Jewish families today. It is a generational trauma that affects the ways many families still act and think on a daily basis. For many Jewish people, there is a fear that something like this could happen again. Next, we're going to listen to us read about two King students sharing just a little bit about how the Holocaust has affected their families.
This is a story from another King student. My grandfather was 7 years old when he was put in a safe house in Budapest, Hungary. He lived in the basement of this house for 7 months with other young children, eating only small meals of lentils and beans. He was lucky to survive and was reunited with his mother not long after World War II ended. His dad passed away in a concentration camp. This experience has had a lasting effect on his everyday behaviors, some of which are especially profound. Whenever my family goes to visit him, we tend to find moldy food in his fridge, a sign of fear of not having enough food. Although he's been through so much, he uses his experience to educate students in his area on the importance of the Holocaust.
This is another story from another King student. After my grandpa escaped Nazi Germany, he resented his Jewish identity and never took part in his culture again. My mom was raised non-religious and she never got to go to any Seder until she was 13. When my mom had me and my sister, she decided she wasn't going to hide us from our Jewish heritage. I understand why my grandpa turned his back on his religion, but since my mom decided to raise her children Jewish, I have found a great community of people at my temple, and I am so grateful to my mom for giving us this experience and pride for being Jewish.
Anti-Semitism is a dehumanizing and hateful act against the Jewish community. Anti-Semitism has been around since the beginning of time, and recently there have been many examples of anti-Semitism in our local community. In 2024, there have been 498 anti-Semitic incidents in Northern California alone.
For example, in the Berkeley community, there has been a lot of vandalism and hateful language against Jews. A Jewish frat house and a shop owned by a Jewish business were vandalized with anti-Semitic images and phrases. In one instance, someone purposely dumped smelly, non-kosher food at a Jewish residence. In an Oakland school in August of 2023, a teacher hung up anti-Semitic posters in Jewish students' classes, and during the pandemic, someone delivered flyers to many of the houses in Berkeley, blaming Jewish people for the pandemic.
Since the Holocaust, October 7th, 2023 has been the worst loss of life in a single day for Jewish people. During the horrific attack in Israel, militant troops from a violent group called Hamas took approximately 251 people hostage and murdered 1,200 Jewish men, women, and children.
Since October 7th, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and anti-Arab hate have been on the rise, and it's important that we recognize that both communities are being deeply affected and hurt, but it does not have to divide these two wonderful cultures. Just because the two governments are at war doesn't mean the people from these cultures are.
We are both strong cultures full of history and traditions that have survived all the hardship throughout history. Now more than ever, unity is so much more important than division, and we support all of our peers who are also being affected.
Despite hardships in our Jewish community, Judaism is about life, celebration, community, and joy.
Here are some photos of JSU members celebrating their B'nai Mitzvot, an important coming-of-age milestone in Judaism.
The Jewish community is a very important part of any Jew's life. Many Jewish people practice the same traditions in different ways, but all Jewish people share the values of life, community, and healing the world.
Thank you for listening today. We hope you learned something new.
Thank you so much. And I just wanted to take a second to give these students a huge shout out. It is hard to come in front of this many people and share something about your culture, and they have put weeks of work into this. So thank you all so much. I appreciate it.
The students are separated in the front. Give me 1 second.
Thank you so much for that, not just fabulous, but also incredibly informative presentation. I don't think you missed anything at all. And so it's really great for an opportunity to share and to learn about other cultures. And it's even more exciting for us to do it in such a diverse community here as Berkeley Unified School District is. So again, kudos to our young people for the confidence and for the bravery that you showed tonight and for the opportunity to educate us all. So let's give them one more round of applause, please. We will now move on to our second student presentation of the evening. And tonight we are very excited to welcome and receive a presentation from the Bridge program. Yeah, give it up. I can tell by the applause in the room that many of you are already familiar with the Bridge program, so I will keep my introduction brief. But as you already know, or may not know, Bridge is a phenomenal program and a beloved program here in BUSD that seeks to support students in achieving academic excellence while also preparing them, simultaneously preparing them for post-secondary options. And so tonight, we are going to receive a presentation that talks about the Bridge program, that shares the mission of the Bridge program and how that mission is achieved. We'll also see a couple of key data points, and most importantly, we'll hear the voices of students as well as community members who will talk about the Bridge program, their experience in it, and why they think it's such a great program here in BUSD. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Ms. Jessie Luxford, who will begin our presentation this evening.
Thank you so much. I think this says a lot. It's a beautiful moment. My name is Jessie Luxford, and I'm fortunate enough to be the Berkeley High School Bridge Program Coordinator. Thank you, President Brown, school board directors, and superintendent for inviting us to celebrate our 15th year anniversary, and for all the support you've given us over the last 15 years. I'd like to start just by recognizing how many Bridge families and students on the wait list have come out tonight and who took time out of their schedules to support the program. Bridge belongs to our students and families. This is their program, and I just coordinate. So if families can wave their signs. I'd like to introduce my colleagues who are here. Dwayne Binlas, if you're here, can come on up. Jennifer Hammond, it's our she's a cohort lead and also our part-time Bridge counselor. Yesenia Rodriguez, are you here? There you are. Spencer Pritchard. There you go. And Sam Matsumoto is another senior Bridge cohort lead, but she can't be here tonight. And we have a really special guest. When we started this program 15 years ago, there was a student who I had taught at Longfellow, and she was a junior when Bridge started, and she helped me out. She was part of a program called Scholars to Cal, and I really admired that program. I sort of thought of Bridge as I wanted to do that program, and Erica is here, Erica Groton. Erica. One of my favorite people in the whole world, and she helped to really start this program. So thank you for being here tonight. Just for people who don't know, Bridge was built from the ground up, from scratch at Berkeley High School. It was designed by teachers and students to serve primarily first-generation African-American and Latinx students. We are, the Bridge staff, are teachers and counselors on campus every single day. We know the system. We know how to help students and families navigate it. We meet with teachers. We walk in the hallways. We snitch to parents and take pictures of the kids in the hallway. I'm joking that they get an A in hallway class and they need to get back to their class. We text and we communicate and we annoy and we do whatever it takes to help our students reach their potential. We step in early, we build trust, we intervene quickly, and this allows us to improve attendance, mental health challenges, reduce DF rates, communicate with families often, and provide opportunities. And our mission is to close the opportunity gap and make sure our students don't just make it through high school, but that they excel and they have real choice, 4-year college, 2-year path, or careers that they're proud of. Tonight, we're celebrating not just 15 years, but we have 2 cohorts that are graduating, and many of them are at the AMPS graduation, at the CAS graduation, or at a dance rehearsal. But these seniors came tonight to represent the 52 students that graduated the Bridge graduation last Thursday, where over 300 people attended. And what's really remarkable is that we've shown that we can double the size of Bridge and still get the same results. And so we have 52 seniors that are graduating this year. 50 of them were A through G eligible, which means that they have the option to go to 4-year. Sure. Yeah. 51 out of 52 were A through G eligible, 50 applied, and all of them got in, okay? Not just to one, but to multiple schools, as you can see. And they've gotten into institutions across the country: Howard, Spelman, UCLA, UC Berkeley, USC, Cornell, just to name a few. And that's just not access, it's choice, and it matters because getting accepted isn't about prestige, it's about power, and our students and families have options. They get to choose their path forward. So we have our seniors here, and we have a few of them who are just gonna give a brief excerpt from their graduation speech. Just a brief excerpt just to give you a little bit of a sense of sort of what Bridge meant to them and how it was for them. Okay. Mariah, Estevan, Rosa, and Nicole, you wanna come up?
Hi, my name is Mariah. While Berkeley High offers resources like the CCC and teacher tutorials, Bridge provides a uniquely comfortable environment where we can learn and grow alongside our peers. I want to thank Mr. Binloss. You pushed us to stay on track, kept our parents informed, and never let us settle. You taught us to be lions, not gazelles, to see failure and struggle not as the end, but as part of the journey. You reminded us that the dream is free, but the hustle is sold separately. Since sophomore year, Mr. Binloss has encouraged me to take advanced STEM classes that I never thought I'd do well in, but he supported me throughout the process so that I've excelled. A special thank you to Ms. Hammond for guiding us through the college application process. Your support and expertise were essential, and honestly, I'm not sure how we would have made it through the stressful time without you.
Hi, my name is Estevan. I joined Bridge because my family wanted to give me a better education, especially when they could no longer help me with the new material being taught in school. I want to thank Bridge for giving me the support to continue an education that I truly love. I wasn't on my own. Like, there were people who genuinely cared and wanted to see me succeed. That support gave me confidence to keep going. I also want to thank Ms. Hammond, who stood by us as we made decisions about our future and reminded us to aim high. Thank you, Bridge, for believing in me and helping me believe in myself.
I wrote this for the intentions of a teacher who has guided me through my 4 years of high school and who has been there for me since the beginning of my journey. As a little girl, I struggled to ask for help, but I learned that there is always a person there who cares and will listen and support you through difficult challenges. And you are that person to me, Mix Matsumoto. You are the person I run to ask questions or concerns or doubts. If I could tell middle school Rosa anything about high school, is to join Bridge, because it will help you feel secure and confident through your academic achievements. The most important thing is that you believed in me more than anybody else could in this school. Thank you.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Nicole. Gracias por venir esta noche y apoyarnos. Sabemos que todos los que están aquí han sido una parte importante de nuestras vidas y han sido parte de nuestro sistema de apoyo. I can't imagine what my high school career would have looked like without Bridge. Mix Matsumoto and Mr. Binloss, your commitment to seeing us thrive and be successful is real. There have been so many times where you have stayed until 6 p.m. so we can work with tutors. You send out personalized message every week for the last 4 years to each of our families with our grades and attendance, even when we don't want you to. And we all know if we're even a second late to Bridge, you text us and our family immediately. Ms. Hammond, you were always there to guide us and comfort us through the entire college process. Next year, I will be attending UC Santa Cruz, majoring in biology in hopes to become a researcher.
We have a very little time to summarize 15 years, and we have 3 slides here with so much data on what we do. This has to do with how many kids get into 4-year college so that they have every choice. This has to do with LCAT metrics, which were funded through, all sorts of data, CTE pathway, AP course completion, all of that. And I don't want to spend a lot of time on that because I'd rather that you hear from the student voices. Our attendance, we work a lot on attendance and making sure our kids are in the classes. And you can see that our attendance is better than the average. You can see here some highlights. But I'd like to call up some of our students who are in the 9th through 11th grade, just to say a word about what Bridge means to them. So Kai, Taiji, Ferme, Miguel, Tavel, Angel, and Jalen. Will you come on up?
Hello, my name is Ty G, and I just feel like Bridge is like a good place to go to. Like if I have a lot going on at school, I could just go there, and get work done. And I feel like it's been a very positive impact on my high school career.
Hi, my name is Angel. Bridge was with me on my lowest, and I know Bridge will be with me on my highest since we are a family.
Hi, my name is Miguel, and Bridge is like a community, it's like a family, and I could go there whenever I need help, and they always give the best support. Thank you, Bridge.
Hi, my name is Jeremy, and I think why Bridge is important is because you're allowed to you have the same Bridge teacher throughout the whole 4 years, which allows for a deeper connection to have a home within the school.
Hello, my name is Tavel, and Bridge has helped me be very successful throughout my high school experience, and I know it's helped many others too. And if you were to get rid of the program, I feel like you'd be robbing others of being successful and being a part of something bigger than themselves. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Miguel, and I want to say that Bridge has really helped me and supported me and motivated me to change from a C student to an A student. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jalen. Bridge is something undefinable in one word or one sentence. It's a community, it's a foundation, and we're never alone. Somebody's always there to say they're proud of us.
Hi, my name is Kai. Bridge is like having a second parent at school, someone who's always there to push me and look out for me, even when my family can't be there. Yeah.
I want to be really conscious of time, but I think you can hear from the students that this isn't just a job for us. We adore them. We love them, and when the families turn them over to us at school, we act like their parents at school and wrap around them and really try to do whatever we can to support them. So just in closing, because I want to be conscious of times, for 15 years, Bridge has delivered what the district says it's striving for. It's closed the opportunity gap. Feeling safe, A through G, family engagements, and Bridge is not a luxury, it is the Bridge. Right now, there's a wait list for Bridge, 108 African American and Latinx students and families asking for access to the program. The wait list has existed for years. We know it works, but they're being told there's no room. So every year we leave those students on a wait list and we're wondering why. In a time of limited resources, we need to put our dollars where the impact is clearest. Funding a program like Bridge isn't just about fairness, it's a smart, high return investment in equity and in the future of our students. Reducing funding for Bridge would send the wrong message about our priorities. If our mission is to close gaps and not perpetuate them, then we should expand the program. The Bridge program is the safest way and smartest and most strategic investment we can make. And I would just like to say that after 15 years, it would be really wonderful to stop stressing and about losing funding and have our money put somewhere that's stable so that I can spend all of my time making this program better, getting better tutors, helping kids have better access. I just want to focus on what we're not doing and what we can be doing instead of worrying about losing what we have. So. I also want to say, according to DataQuest, which is a California state website where where districts post data, 23 out of 118 African American seniors were UC and CSU eligible last year. And that number shocks me every single time, you know? And it's not necessary. And we know how to give these kids opportunities. So I would really like to see us do that. To our students, you are the reason Bridge exists. You're the model of resilience, brilliance, and possibility. To our families, thank you for trusting us and walking beside us. And to the Bridge staff and teachers, your care, your dedication are really at the heart of the program. And to the board, superintendent, and to the city who funds this program, thank you so much for your support over the last 15 years. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much to all of the Bridge advocates who came out tonight, and especially to our student speakers. It was really great to hear your voices elevated about a program that you love so much and that has really helped to impact and improve your opportunities for today and also for tomorrow. So thank you again for our Bridge presentation. At this time, we need to report out from closed session. So I'm going to ask Vice President Chang to do that. If you are leaving the boardroom at this time, we're going to ask that you please leave quietly so that we can continue on with the meeting. Thank you so much. There are going to be two separate items that Vice President Chang reports out for. The first is a special closed session that the board had, and then the second is our regular closed session. Okay? Again, if you are leaving the board meeting, please do so quietly so that we may continue the business of Berkeley Unified School District. Thank you.
Thank you so much, President Brown. With regard to the special closed session, concurrent 4.1, Council provided the board with an update and a recommendation. Board voted in favor of Council's recommendation to authorize the appeal of the PERB decision. Board motion for Council's recommendation was moved by Vice President Chang, Director Korn seconded, Director Shanasky abstained, Director Vasudev was in absentia. And with regard to the regular closed session, 3.1.1, the district provided its recommendation. Director Korn moved, Vice President Chang seconded, and the motion carried. Director Vasudev was in absentia. With regard to 3.1.2, the district provided its recommendations. Vice President Chang moved, Director Shanasky seconded, and the motion carried. Director Korn recused herself. Director Vasudev was in absentia. With regard to 3.1.3, the district provided an update and a recommendation. Director Shanasky moved, Director Korn seconded. The board voted unanimously in favor. With regard to 3.1.4, the district provided its recommendation. Director Vasudev moved, Director Korn seconded. The board voted unanimously in favor. With regard to 3.1.5, the district provided an update. And with regard to 3.2.1, Council provided an update and recommendation. Director Shanasky moved, Vice President Chang seconded. The board voted unanimously. With regard to 3.2.2, the district provided recommendation. Director Shanasky moved, Director Vasudev seconded. The board voted in favor unanimously. With regard to 3.3.1, the board voted in favor of the district's recommendation. Director Shanasky moved, Director Korn seconded, Director Vasudev was in absentia. With regard to 3.4, the district provided an update. Director Vasudev was in absentia. And with regard to 3.5, the board determined to hold a special session to address that issue. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Vice President Chang, for reporting out from closed session. We will now move to our first opportunity for public comment. I have a ton of public comment cards, and so this is how we are going to handle this. There are specific groups who are interested in speaking, and so what I'll ask Ms. Charas to do is to give those groups 5 minutes. When I give the signal, you can give them 5 minutes to speak. We always receive our students first. However, what we will do, since we have groups, is we'll have our students speak within those groups first and then hear from the adults in the groups. And then we also need to move on to Zoom to receive public comments that are virtual. So just stay with us, please, as we go through this public comment session. But the first group that we will call up are students and adults who will speak on the RISE program. The RISE program is another amazing program in BUSD, and so we are so excited to receive the comments from our students and our adults tonight. Miss Betty, let me ask you this. I have cards, but do you already have your speakers organized and prepared?
They're right there. So they'll get 1 minute apiece, or how much they'll get apiece?
I will give you 5 minutes in total for the entire presentation. And so do you want me to call them up by cards, or do you have?
I'll call the kids. They're right here. Take the kids and the parents.
Okay, I'm gonna give you your 5 minutes, and I'm gonna let you do your thing. Okay.
Good evening, members of the school board. My name is Angel Rivera, and I come in front of you today to tell you why you should not cut funding to the RISE program. We'll start with the obvious. It's not easy for us minority students to become successful in school. I mean, according to multiple studies, 36% of college-age Latino students and only 37% of Black-age students of the same age go to college. And when we compare these percentages to that of white students, we see that the aforementioned statistics are significantly lower, and the answer as to why is not surprising. For the Latino students, many who are first generation, such as myself, we struggle in finding guidance on how to go through school. Our parents didn't go through the school system and have no prior knowledge on how it works and how we can become successful in it. So they find us people that can, people like those in RISE. I was one of those students who struggled to understand the school system, knowing nothing but the fact that high school came after middle school. No idea how I could become a competitive student on par with my white colleagues. White students who had already had parents that went through the system and who they could turn to when they had any questions about school. I didn't have that. Many Black and brown students across the country still don't have that. If it weren't for RISE and the amazing people in it, Ms. Betty, my case manager Javier, and Wardell, I would have remained with those lingering questions and not become the student that I am today. The first person in my family to attend college and a student attending UC Berkeley later this year. This is my mom. This is my mom. She helped me get there too. They've been here since the 70s. They were there when my grades dropped to make sure that I was not slacking, helping me to communicate with my teachers and push me to do the best that I could do by recommending me community college classes and helping me through the enrollment process. They were there when I needed help finding a job. They were there with tutors whenever I felt hopeless in AP Chem, Calculus, or English. And they were even there during the summer when I needed help with my college applications and proofreading my essays. I fear a future in which RISE no longer exists, or due to a decrease in funding, becomes smaller than it already is. Who will students like me have to turn to when they have questions about school? Who will keep them in check when their grades drop? Who will provide a genuine care, counseling, and a 24/7 availability if it's not for RISE? Thank you.
Hello, my name is Amin Jamal Omer, and I'm 11th grader in RISE. I've been in this program since the summer going into my freshman year, and high school comes with many challenges, I should know. RISE was there through thick and thin for me academically and emotionally. Because of Ms. Betty, Javier, and Wardell, I found a support system that allows me to succeed regardless of the challenges that I may face. I only have RISE to thank for instilling a belief in myself that I can do well and that I can continue to strive for success in my academics and in life after school. Through personal struggle, RISE has been a lot like a safe haven for me. Talking to Wardell and Javier about potential opportunities and laying out an action plan, regardless of what I have going on outside of school, has been somewhat of a stress reliever. Because of Wardell and Javier's encouragement, I am taking 2 college classes this summer and 3 AP classes next year. If I were to tell myself this time last year that I would be doing this, I would not look at myself in the mirror and believe that. I'm not gonna lie. Cutting RISE funding can result in students like me who want to get ahead, a much needed support system that will allow them to grow as the next workers and leaders of this next generation of community and general society. So please, we plead with you. Without RISE, students like me and other kids like me all just want the best opportunities to give themselves a better future. And to be honest, this has been the best thing for me and everyone else. So thank you so much for your time.
I want to speak about RISE. I'm not only co-workers with Javier, Wardell, and Miss Betty, I'm also a parent and an aunt to students who went through RISE. And RISE is an invaluable piece of Berkeley High, and it provides opportunity and support, and most importantly, navigation for students who would normally slip through the crack because they're not always special ed or they don't have any other flags, they're not focal, but RISE comes in and stands by them during high school and post-high school. My son has no qualms about calling Wardell to tell him about a trouble he's having in a college class. So I just want to say this. RISE is an institutional part of Berkeley High, and it should be studied and multiplied instead of cut.
Thank you so much to our advocates who came out tonight to talk about the incredible, amazing, longstanding RISE program. We've heard so many great things throughout the years about RISE, and so it is great to see our student advocates and hear their voices, as well as our parents, our families, to hear their exciting stories about RISE and their advocacy for the program to continue. So thank you all so much. Next, we will move to our next set of public comments, specifically in support of Ms. Falarka. I have a lot of cards in this section, and so you'll also get 5 minutes. Ms. Chavez, if you can please put that on the timer. And I hope that you all had the opportunity to organize yourselves and that you're ready to begin whenever the timer begins, okay? Welcome.
Okay. Hi, I hope you're all doing well. I'm Mahrosh, and I'm a student at Independent Study, and today I'm here to talk on behalf of Ms. Falarka. We need to keep her. By cutting her, you aren't doing anyone justice. By cutting so many of these teachers, you're not really helping anyone. Berkeley is supposed to be progressive, so where is the progress? We should be building this district to become even better, but instead, you are breaking it apart by cutting our funds and teachers that we need. Ms. Falarka being one of them. She's encouraged me to pursue college even with my struggles with high school, as well as many other students in independent study. She helps her students tremendously and keeps them engaged in class. She's so kind and never has an issue with helping after hours. Teachers typically don't reach out as much after the year you spend with them or get too involved with you, but Ms. Falarka is not one of them. She goes above and beyond for her students. We feel it and we see it, so why don't you? Her impact on students, on all her students, is tremendous. Not allowing her to teach would be taking away from us all. So I hope you ask yourself, is what I'm doing really helping? Is this all I can do? Please reconsider this decision and give her ADA accommodation. Thank you.
Jonas Lametri Brownell, a BUSD's Herrick Hospital teacher. Independent study and HHI teacher, Ms. Falarka, is BUSD's only fully online teacher, and as some of you have already acknowledged, she is an excellent and transformative online teacher, as you also have heard from many of her students. We absolutely should do all we can to keep her, and I remain unconvinced that there is any reason why we must lose her by requiring her to return to in-person teaching when her documented ADA accommodation request makes it clear she needs to stay online. The students need her online. Please grant Ms. Falarka's ADA accommodation, which will cost BUSD nothing, and continue to have her students receive transformative, excellent online education. As one example of a solution, she is also an HHI teacher. She's qualified and experienced, veteran, excellent at 6th through 12th grade humanities. We have I'm working with 2 online students right now in humanities. She can be the designated online teacher for all of those HHI students. A solution, we can do this. Let's keep her.
Hello, I'm Gregory Beaver, and my oldest daughter is a student at Berkeley Independent Study. And my family is so grateful for the accommodation that BISD provides for my daughter to pursue her dream of being a ballerina and the time that it allows. I'm confused as to why that same accommodation is not granted for something far more affecting of someone's life, which is the ADA accommodation that Ms. Falarka is asking for. This feels like an opportunity to me for the board to really look at the policies and make a just choice, a right choice. The DNA of BISD is accommodation. That's the whole point of its existence, is to provide an opportunity for people to thrive together, the students and the teachers. This is something I think is a real opportunity to look at what we need to do. It's not just about Ms. Falarka, it's a higher thing. What can we do to make this really work, to be a model for other systems around the country? BISD already is. I've lived all over the country, and this is very unique. We would have basically had to choose between ballet and school, pretty much anywhere else. And so this has really been wonderful. I hope you'll make the right choice here. You have a great opportunity to do so. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Adie Hogue, and I'm a member of Eon BAM Caucus. I'm a teacher in Oakland, and I've worked with Yvette Falarka for over 20 years, including being her student teacher at Martin Luther King Middle School. And I actually know this is not Yvette Falarka's first rodeo. There's been multiple rounds of harassment, of investigations. I probably still have my I Stand with Ms. Falarka pin, and all of that amounted to total BS. She's still here and is still one of the most loved teachers in Berkeley. And that's because she's like one of those amazing teachers that, you know, in the TV show, the establishment comes after her. But in her case, she doesn't leave, she stays because she fights to win. And there is no establishment that she is afraid to challenge and fight until she wins. So I trust she will be here. You have a lot of wonderful programs that you need to fund and support. And so do not waste your money on legal fees trifling with Ms. Falarka, because she will win. She's won before. She's going to be in Berkeley. Get your priorities straight. Let her allow her to have her accommodation and teach online. Thank you.
Thank you. You have 20. Oh, you're going back up, Liz. Okay, thank you. All right, we will move on to our next comments. We have comments specifically around OFI. If you are speaking for OFI, I'm going to ask that you come this time. I do have a number of cards for OFI as well, and so I'm going to give you all 5 minutes. We do have some student speakers, and so as you organize yourselves, can you please ensure that our student speakers get the opportunity to go first, including but not limited, including actually Xavier, Francia, and Aaliyah. So you're Alasia. I should have gotten that right, Alasia. Your name is spelled like my name, sorry. All right. Go ahead. Alasia, are you gonna go first? Yeah. Okay, welcome.
Hi, my name is Alasia Sims. I'm a 9th grader at Berkeley High, and I'm writing this letter because I care a lot about the family engagement and equity specialists, especially my mom and all her coworkers. And I want to speak up for them and the families that they help every day. These specialists do more than work at schools. They make sure students and families feel supported, understood, and respected. They help parents get the information they need. They check in on students who are struggling, and they make the school feel like a place where everyone belongs. I've seen my mom stay late, talk with parents who speak different languages, and work really hard to keep their students and families heard. If these jobs go away or aren't fully funded, so many families will be left without someone to help them navigate school. This means students might not get the support they need, and some parents won't have anyone to go to when they have questions and support, and that's not fair. We talk about equity and inclusion, and I think keeping these jobs shows we really mean it. Please make sure the Office of Family Engagement and Equity stays fully funded. Families and students, especially those who don't always have a voice, are counting on it. Thank you.
Hola, mi nombre es Francia. Soy una estudiante en Longfellow Middle School en octavo grado. Hi, my name is Francia. I am a student in Longfellow Middle School in 8th grade. Como una estudiante latina en BUSD, estoy muy agradecida por todos los trabajadores de OFI que ayudan a todas las familias. Agradezco porque ayudan a todas las familias latinas y los asesoran con lo necesitado. Entre ellos, Miss Rebecca, que nos ayuda no solo a las familias, sino a nosotros los estudiantes también. Todos los trabajadores de OFI latinos ayudan a las familias que no hablan ni entienden el inglés. Si fueran a quitarlos, no beneficiaría a la comunidad latina, por lo que yo y mi mamá, y asumo a todos los en este cuarto, solicito que valoren a los trabajadores, que son un gran elemento en la comunidad educativa de BUSD y en las vidas de todos los estudiantes como yo. Agradezco mucho su atención y espero con mucha fe que valoren las personas en sus respectivos cargos, cuales realizan un gran labor en la comunidad y las familias. Thank you.
We still have 2 minutes and 27 seconds left if anyone else would like to speak.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for giving us this time. As a parent of a student in Longfellow, I just want to thank to Rebecca, the OFI person. I just want to let you know that she's a very helpful person for all the Latinos that we are in the school. I don't know in the other school, but in the Longfellow, she's very competent. She really helped everyone. She's always on top. She's always sending reminders. She's always there for us. So without those people who work on the OFI, what can we do? You know, we are in Berkeley and we are big. Berkeley is big. So I think it's very important to us to keep her, all those people, like, it's like a lifesaver for all the parents and also for all the students, like the student that came just and speak up. Thank you so much. I hope you have in mind that just to keep those people who keep the schools floating, you know, and keep supporting all the students to be better in Berkeley. Thank you.
I just want to say it's deeply disappointing that all the things that we're talking about cutting tonight are all equity initiatives. And I think that as Berkeley Unified, we can and we should be doing better. It's embarrassing. I also want to say, and this is just off the top of my head, but the schools that still don't have OFI specialists with pink slips rescinded are Oxford, Washington, Ruth Acton, Berkeley Independent Study, King, Thousand Oaks, Longfellow, Cragmont. Those are a lot of our schools. 21 pink slips still remain unrescinded, which our district has been touting as a high achievement, which it is. 7 of those are OFI. So the disproportionality when you think of the families and the equity initiatives that are affected are deeply disappointing and a big statement about what the priorities are in this district. Thank you.
We also have a number of cards regarding contract negotiations, and so if you submitted those cards, can you please come at this time? You will also have 5 minutes. Are you talking to Liz or are you talking to me? Okay.
Okay.
That's perfect.
Okay. Evening, board and superintendent. My name is Boy Augustini, and I teach at the adult school. Next year will mark my 30th year of teaching at various levels, including high schools, middle schools, and adult schools. For years, I would teach my 30-hour assignment at my high school and then teach an additional 6 hours on Saturdays at an adult school in downtown LA. It was there that I fell in love with my students and with adult ed. And when I moved here, I wanted to devote my teaching to adult ed. My colleagues and I love teaching our students and want to do the best we can for them. That's difficult to do when we're only allowed 3 hours of preparatory time to plan our lessons per month. This is in contrast to the 5 hours per week that are afforded the K-12 teachers. Also, sister adult schools, neighboring and in other parts of the state, consistently have more prep time. Our proposal to include prep time for Berkeley adult ed instructors is asking for a fraction of that. Adult ed students represent such a rich mosaic of our society. They include those who are working to earn their high school diplomas, those who are trying to learn English, those who are attempting to master a specific skill, those who are hoping for a better life, and those who are the parents and grandparents of BUSD K-12 students, and the list goes on. Please respect and support their teachers. Thank you.
I'm a math teacher at Longfellow, and I worked my butt off to secure my position, having subbed and student taught since 2021. I changed careers during the pandemic because I saw there was a real need for quality math instruction in public schools. But I didn't expect the choice to work in this district would mean foregoing health benefits, which puts a heartbreaking halt to my own plans to start a family. Our district does not offer affordable health care for teachers, period. I could not afford a single health care plan from BUSD. The Kaiser plan for me and my new husband would be over $1,000 a month, which is more than 30% of my take-home salary as a new teacher on step one. I already cannot afford the astronomically high rent in this area, let alone paying off the student loans that I was forced to take out to pursue this career. In the private sector, healthcare coverage is basically a given when accepting a job. The same Kaiser plan is being offered for more than 50% less in nearby districts. In some cases, the employee contribution is zero. More than any professional development, my colleagues, the more experienced teachers at my school, are the single most valuable resource to me and my development as an educator. If we are losing excellent teachers because of benefits, we are not investing in our students.
Good evening. My name is Latasha Willis. I am a Bears teacher at Washington Elementary. This is my 4th year in a row, and I hold an early childhood education permit. Each day, I support students before and after school, helping with academics, leading activities, and collaborating with teachers, families, and staff to make sure every child is safe and supported. But like many of my colleagues, I'm struggling to keep up. Even living in Berkeley, the rising costs of housing and groceries makes it harder and harder to get by on an ECE salary. We're committed to our work, but commitment alone doesn't pay bills. We can't wait for better wages. We can't keep losing passionate educators because they can't afford to stay. It's time for our pay to reflect the value we bring to every single day. We can't wait. Thank you.
Thank you as well for your comments. Next, we will receive Ben N, followed by Madeline.
Hello, members of the board. My name is Ben. Oh, geez. I mean, I'll take more if you want. All right. Hello, members of the board. My name is Ben Nathan, and I'm a math teacher at Berkeley High, currently in my 11th year at the school. I wanted to talk about the current crisis involving physical education and the possible solutions that are available. The first would be to move to a 7-period day, which would decrease the amount of time that students have with teachers and cost a great deal of money on top of that, in addition to adding stress to teachers on an everyday basis. The second would be to cut electives. As we heard 2 weeks ago, that is something that nobody wants, and it would take away a way that our school shines for so many students and so many people in our community. The third would be to move to a block schedule. Rotating blocks would help, but have been shown to have negative effects, especially on students with executive functioning issues, which leaves one option, which is the 4x4. The 4x4 block, by instituting this, we would be able to not only keep our current electives, but offer more than we currently do in a way that is closer to cost neutral than any other viable solution. In addition, research shows that the 4x4 increases the happiness levels of all members of the communities as it lowers the stress levels of students, teachers, counselors, administrators, and staff. In addition to this, there are long-term savings as it would create solutions for our room issues. If any of you want to talk about this, please let me know, email me. I'm more than happy to talk about it at any time.
Thank you. Next, we will receive Madeline. Madeline, are you with us? Okay, great. I also have a few speaker cards here for the Bridge program. However, we do have about 15 people online who need to speak. And so what I'm going to do, because we received a presentation from Bridge already tonight, is I'm going to ask that we please give the opportunity for the public speakers, or for the public commenters who are online, to have the opportunity to speak before our public comment time is up. And so hopefully that is okay, but I will keep your cards until we get to the second opportunity for public comment, and we'll ask for you to speak during that time if you are still here and if you are still interested in speaking. We will move on to our online commenters. Of course, we always prioritize our students, and so we will begin with Alasia Thompson, followed by Isaiah. Ms. Chavez, whenever you are ready, please promote those two individuals. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Alasia Thompson, and I'm a 10th grader at Berkeley Independent Study. I have received word that a great teacher at my school, Berkeley Independent Study, is at risk of losing her job due to her location. This news has deeply troubled myself and peers. Miss Yvette Falarca is one of the most engaging, passionate, and inspiring teachers that I and other students have had. While teaching, she creates thought-provoking questions that truly build a deeper understanding of the subject matter, often encouraging all of her students to fulfill their true potential. Even though she teaches virtually, she is truly an incredible figure at BIS, and losing her would be such a tremendous loss in our community. Thank you.
Thank you as well. Next, we will have Isaiah, followed by Sherry Norris.
Hi, my name's Isaiah, and I'm a junior at Independent Studies. I've had the privilege of being a student of Ms. Falarca's online platform my 9th and 10th grade years. It was very beneficial for me to have the flexibility of an online class because I'm a 3-year varsity athlete, and finding the balance between school, baseball, and a social life is never easy to do. I have dyslexia, and coming into independent studies, I lack confidence in my reading and writing abilities. And Ms. Falarca worked tirelessly with me with extra office hours and sometimes logging into Zoom meetings at 10 p.m. her time just to help me with an assignment. She helped me gain the confidence that I desperately needed. I went from hoping to pass a 9th grade English class to excelling in an AP language class, getting A's in both quarters. And Ms. Falarca is the biggest reason why. And I feel like BUSD School District would be doing itself a disservice if we don't continue to let her teach with the online platform. Thank you.
Thank you, Isaiah. Next, we will have Sherry Norris, followed by Natalie Miller.
Hi, can you see me?
We can see you and we can hear you. And I know that, Sherry, you're on with 2 devices, so maybe turn the other one off and then that'll give you.
Perfect. I just did that. I'm not familiar with your system and I couldn't tell if I was in the queue or not, so I joined again on a second. Anyways, I'll get to it. My name is Sherry Norris, and I'm a parent of a Berkeley student. She has been in Berkeley school system since she was in kindergarten. And in 6th grade, she started to develop very severe anxiety and depression. Sorry. She ended up in a residential program and in a PHP program. And it finally went to home and hospital care online, where she met Miss Falarca. Miss Falarca was the first teacher that my daughter said actually listened to her and helped her to come out of her shell. She used to be a very high scoring student in Star 9 testing. She was one of the top students in the country for her test scores for English.
and it plummeted so badly while she was in middle school and high school. By the time she was in high school, she was hiding in the bathroom, crying, developed a very severe fear of being on campus, couldn't find anywhere that she could be safe. She was told there was places she could be for 15 minutes, but then she had to leave. She could visit her counselor, but only during the right times. She never could find any support on campus. And from that, all of those experiences, and she was also assaulted in middle school on campus by another student. You add all that together, and her fear of being on campus is severe. She goes to see psychiatrists regularly, but without Miss Falarka, she would not have been able to re-enter into school. She's now an independent study, and she's still having a hard time there. And because she's not able to be online, she's losing her ability to her academic movement. And what we were really hoping through her IEP is that she could take at least one.
I'm sorry, Sherry. I'm not sure if you can hear us on this end, and I apologize for interrupting, especially during the middle of that. But we only give 1 minute for public comment, and it's hard to see in the background, but there's a timer that goes off. And unfortunately, you've reached your time. But thank you so much for sharing that. And if there's anything that you missed or you want to share more, please feel free to email the Board of Education. Thank you for joining us. And again, I apologize for having to cut you off. Next, we will move to Natalie Miller, followed by Yvette Falarka.
Hi, my name is Natalie Miller, and I represent the BEARS program. And I'd like to reiterate one of the facts that I mentioned last time. This program for the after school is handled by 2 people doing 7 sites. This will now be eliminated, both of those people that work as a team, adding a new administrative assistant to handle all 7 sites with a new supervisor at the same time. At one of the most impactful and detrimental times, this will be both unfamiliar to them, our processes and procedures. So we're unclear as if they will just come and sit in our seats. But one thing is for sure that this is a program that prioritizes the underserved community. This is at a time with the government administration targeting them and us, that here's another hit that impacts the type of consistency that needs to be stayed in place. These families are not aware and will not have the opportunity to make an adjustment and be prepared. So I see my time is running out, but I encourage you to come and sit with us and learn more about our program.
Thank you. I just want to ensure that you finished the end of your sentence before you were cut off. Is that correct? Okay, thank you so much. Next, we will move to Yvette Falarka, followed by Andrea.
Good evening. I'm Yvette Falarka. I'm a teacher at Berkeley Independent Studies. I'm also part of the Equal Opportunity Now by Any Means Necessary Eon BAM caucus. Today, I filed my ADA accommodation application to Berkeley Unified School District to continue to teach online. I want to thank all the students and the families, my coworkers, community supporters, for all your support and advocacy, not just for me, but for the rights of students and families to get the type of education that you need and deserve, and continue to demand that from your school district. Berkeley Unified can and should be doing so much better. I also support RISE and Bridge and all the programs, as well as the OFI staff who still face cuts. And I really am appalled at the betrayal at the idea that this district might charge for busing, when that would be a massive betrayal of Berkeley's most important gain for desegregation and a model for the nation. So thank you to everyone. I see the rest of my time.
Thank you. Next, we will move to Andrea, followed by Ashley. Okay, Andrea is declining to speak, so Andrea, we will try our best to come back to you. Okay, Andrea, we'll come back to you. Let's go to Ashley, followed by Felicia.
Hello, my name is Ashley Stepney. I'm representing the BEARS program. I would like to say that my department, BEARS, that is being downsized to one administrative assistant, will not run efficiently. In fact, as someone who has had firsthand experience with the program operating off of one admin assistant, that being myself, I can say that the work was overwhelming and excessive for one person. This had a direct impact on the students' adjustment stage, parents being at risk of losing their jobs due to longer application processing times, and other staff that worked within the district servicing families who were unable to advocate for themselves. The current staff that is in place is knowledgeable of the most current regulations of how the program needs to function. Moving forward with bringing a new administrative assistant in at the height of enrollment season with no current knowledge on how this program runs will be a disservice to the community we say we serve. In addition, the program is in process of getting a new manager who will have no direct access to get answers needed during the first critical weeks of enrollment. And that's my time. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. Next, we'll have Felicia, followed by Bill Press.
Hi, my name is Felicia Hopkins. Where's the camera? My name is Felicia Hopkins, and I am here to support Miss Yvette Falarka, and my grandson is here with me. His name is Don, and my grandson is a ninth grade student of Miss Falarka. I feel it is important to speak up about the amazing impact she has had on his life and why she should be allowed to continue to teach online so that we can keep her teaching in Berkeley. Don is he has been taught online since kindergarten. I was his learning coach. I put Don back into BUSD because I felt that he needed to have more communication with teachers and his fellow students. You guys are really doing the wrong thing by cutting Miss Falarco and all these programs because these kids need to have the opportunity to do what you're doing as the board for BUSD. We voted you in. I talked people into voting you guys in, and you can be voted out. No disrespect at all. But I feel that you guys need to keep Miss Falarka. Think about the COVID. The COVID, you guys were not ready for the COVID when it hit. The computers were all messed up. Everything was messed up because I was a part of that. The kids was a part of that. My two grandsons was a part of that. So with that being said, you need to keep Miss Falarka as a teacher because she's one of the best teachers there is online, even through K-12. So with that being said, keep Miss Falarka. That's not right.
Next, we will have Bill Press, followed by Tamara Mays.
Hi, my name is Bill Press, and I'm a parent of a 10th grader at BIS. I'm here to speak in support of a teacher, Ms. Falarka. I know you've received a lot of positive testimonials about Ms. Falarka. I've sent emails to all of you, so I won't repeat it here except to say that Ms. Falarka has had a powerfully positive effect on our son and his burgeoning love of reading. I heard back from a number of you that this matter is out of the board's hands, that the BuzzD policies prohibit remote teaching now that the virtual academy is ended, and that the board has a governing role, not an operational role. So this is in the hands of HR because the board must follow BuzzD policies. When I read the remote work policy, though, I saw that the policy supports your taking action to support Ms. Filarka. And I quote, "A full-time, part-time, or short-term work assignment may also be granted by the superintendent, provided that the position is suitable for remote work, the employee has consistently demonstrated the ability to work independently and meets performance expectations." She has clearly demonstrated all these qualities. Please, I know I'm out of time, so I ask the superintendent, this is clearly within the remit of the superintendent to make this decision, not HR. Please approve her continued remote teaching, both for her benefit and for our children's. You are empowered to do this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bill, and thank you for taking the opportunity to address that. Again, this is, although the board loves to hear and advocate on behalf of folks, that this is not actually a decision of the board. So thank you for the opportunity to address that. Next, we will move to Tamara Mays, followed by Daniel Brownson.
Tamara, you can unmute yourself.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you just fine. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I am calling in tonight to ask that you seriously consider approving Ms. Filarka's ADA request to continue teaching on an online platform. Her class has been more than just a course. It's been a safe haven for many students who struggle academically, socially, or simply don't thrive in a traditional setting. Independent Study exists to provide alternatives for students who need support outside of the usual model, and Ms. Filarka has created an environment that does exactly that, one rooted in structure, support, and real connection. To remove this option will not only disrupt the progress of students who finally found a place where they can succeed, but it may also force families to consider transferring to other districts that are more responsive to these essential needs. Please don't take away this lifeline. Approving her request keeps open a path of learning that some of us can't find anywhere else. Thank you for hearing me.
And thank you for speaking. Next, we will have Daniel Brownson, followed by Madeline Roberts-Rich.
Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you just fine.
Okay, so it's really distressing to me that there are still a number of OP staff who have been laid off and have not had those layoffs rescinded. We talk a lot about the 4 E's, but I don't see how this district can be committed to excellence, equity, engagement, and enrichment when it's drastically reducing the staff of the Office of Family Engagement and Equity. And this is the worst time to be reducing that office. These are extremely dedicated people who really are help students and families and provide a safe place for our more marginalized community members, which is especially important now in these times where there's Trump's Gestapo roaming the streets and incoming economic hardship. Please save OFI.
Thank you, Daniel. Next, we will have Madeline Roberts-Rich, followed by Yolanda Thompson. I believe Madeline dropped her hand, so we will move on to Yolanda Thompson, followed by Shiloh.
Okay, so let me talk. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Welcome.
Okay. Hi, thank you. Okay. It has been brought to my attention that one of my child's best teacher could be leaving the school district. I was very appalled by the idea of her possible departure. If Miss Yvette Floraka can teach 3,000 miles away and encourage our children to show up for class and participate in class, why would we risk losing such a good teacher? She shows students she cares, and that's how she motivates our children to succeed. So let's show her that we care and keep her on our team because we need her. We need teachers like Miss Floraka. You guys, please keep her. She's a very good teacher. She's helped us out a lot. Thank you for hearing me.
And thank you for speaking. We will move to Shiloh, followed by Madeline Roberts-Rich.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Welcome.
Okay, thank you. I am Shiloh Mays, a freshman at Berkeley Independent Studies, and I am trying to advocate for Ms. Florka. We sincerely hope the board will consider approving Ms. Florka's ADA application to continue teaching online. As a student who has had a difficult time adjusting to school or to high school, Ms. Florka's class has been incredibly important to me. Her teaching made me feel welcome, supported, and intellectually challenged in ways that helped me grow both academically and personally. Her online platform provided a structure that made it easier for me to attend class regularly and participate in discussions with more confidence and comfort. Her continued presence in an online format would be meaningful support, not just for me, but many students just like me. I think that going into high school, like I didn't have any experience with other teachers, and I feel like that the way that she made me feel just so comforted around the time when I joined for the first teacher who I haven't had that wasn't my mother helped me out exponentially. So I think that would be really good for others like me.
Thank you so much, Shiloh. And Shiloh, the next time you come and speak to the board, make sure you put S or student next to your name. That way we can give you priority to speak first, okay? Now we will have Madeline Roberts-Rich, followed by Diana.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Welcome.
Great. Sorry about that earlier, and I was in person earlier, but I left because I have a little one at home. My name is Madeline Roberts-Rich. I'm a Berkeley High grad, class of 2012. I'm calling because I have for a very long time been very passionate about ensuring adequate nutritional education for young people, primarily girls, and also low-income students. Berkeley High is a uniquely vulnerable population because it has off-campus lunch. So if ninth graders or any high schoolers really are not nutritionally educated and taught about things like protein, iron, calcium, dehydration, etc., it can actually be quite detrimental. When I was in high school, I remember we frequently have Arizona iced teas and Cheetos for lunch because that's what was affordable and that's what teens want. I think that Berkeley, being 1 mile away from the home of the farm to table movement, as well as the home of the edible schoolyards, it's ironic that there's not a more holistic nutritional education program for ninth graders. I entreat you to create one and oversee one. Thank you very much.
Thank you as well. Next, we will have Diana. I believe Diana lowered her hand. So we'll move on to our last public commenter, which is Jasdeep.
Jesse, please unmute yourself.
Thank you. Can you hear?
Yes, we can hear you, and we
Okay.
welcome Jasdeep.
And you can see me in my pajamas in my children's bedroom. Good evening, board. I really wanted to be there tonight, and I'm actually here tonight to speak about Bridge as well, just from an intervention counseling standpoint. And from a counseling standpoint, as you know, I've been in the district for 15 years, and I first learned about Bridge on my first day at Berkeley High when Jesse walked into my office saying, "Hi, you're a counselor. I have a kid who needs help." And that kind of happened every single day for the rest of that year. So my heart is really near and dear to the Bridge program. As you know, for years, I helped facilitate the middle to high school transition, wanting to make sure that kids got a safe space at Berkeley High, because it's so important that, as you heard in the room tonight, that these kids have a safe space to go, that they feel that sense of community, that we see those families that we talk about that we're representing. Bridge works. We want to see this program expanded. It's a safe space. The mental health needs of our kids need to be met. The counselor price is important. All of these parts are so important. Tonight in the boardroom, you're full of families that we always want to see at the table, whose voices we say as a district we want in the room. They were there tonight, and so I just want to encourage us to listen to those voices and to think about, are we representing who we say we're really representing, and how do we continue to not talk about cuts, but talk about expanding?
Thank you, Jasdeep. Ms. Travis, I think we have Diana and Andrea back. They were already in the queue to speak, so we can try them one more time. Hopefully they are ready, and if not, yeah? Okay, Diana, I believe that you are promoted now. Okay. Can you move on to Andrea? Okay.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Welcome.
Awesome, thanks. So I'm here to express my support, strong support for the OFI position. Our schools and families face ongoing challenges such as language barriers, food insecurities, housing instability, and unlimited access to resources. And the OFI is like a lifeline for some of these families, if not all these families. And so the support and help that they become our partners in our children's education. Some of these families I've witnessed in regards to Yesenia's position, the OFI at King. I witnessed personally how she's created such a lifelong for these families. And I've seen like how well she connects to these families. Something unparalleled that I've seen. And in yeah, in these positions with other people. And so I just want to encourage to keep the OFI position. Thank you.
Thank you as well. Andrea?
Hi, now can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Welcome.
Hi, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, my name is Andrea Kwong, and I'm a parent of a student at King Middle School. And I also wanted to speak in support of the OFI staff members who have received layoff notices. And in particular, like the previous speaker, my experiences with Yesenia Moran at King, and through her and Abby Gregor's family equity nights that they have organized. That was the first time in, let's see here, 6 or 7 years in BUSD that there was ever a affinity group for students with IEPs or 504s and their families. And that was really unprecedented, made a huge difference for my student and our family, but also I think some of the other students and families who joined that kind of, oh, I mean, it's hard to put into words, but actually creating community at the school that didn't really exist, allowing people to connect and feel supported, and actually, for kind of a rare instance, creating a safe space where we could communicate with our students could meet and the families could meet with the students. So
Thank
I
you.
would like to encourage the board to and the superintendent's office to do whatever they can, whatever you can to reinstate the OFI specialists who have received those layoff notices. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, this concludes our public comment period. For those who had speaker cards to speak, are there any committee comments this evening? Okay, can you please join us here at the podium?
Good evening, Berkeley Unified School District Board Director, Superintendent, and members of the Berkeley community. My name is Nicole Harris. I'm a parent, a member of the African American Success Advisory Committee, and shows up along with my fellow committee members for this work because we believe in the brilliance of our children, the power of a school system that truly sees them. Tonight, I speak with humility and a deep sense of responsibility, not only to share a reflection on year 3 of our African American Success Framework, but to uplift the stories, the partnerships, and the possibilities this work has brought forward. We haven't done this work alone. We stand on the shoulders of many families, educators, and especially our community partners who have walked beside us every step of the way. College Bound, Young, Gifted, and Black, the city of Berkeley's Youth Equity Project, Healthy Black Families, and the Berkeley Public Schools Fund. Their commitment and consistency have been vital to the growth of this framework and to the lives it continues to touch. We also want to thank the superintendent and the Board of Education for not just supporting this work, but for centering it, for making it clear that this is not an add-on, but a core part of what it means to be a district striving toward equity and excellence. To the principals, teachers, and district and school staff who have embraced this work with open hearts and open minds, thank you. We see your efforts and they are making a difference. As a reminder, the African American Success Framework is grounded in 2 clear outcomes: academic success for African American students and the elimination of racial disparities in school discipline. But it's also rooted in something deeper: values that remind us of why we do this work. The guiding principles of AASSF, we ask ourselves often, how are the children? In a just and healthy community, the answer is all the children are well. That is the bar. And until it's true for every child, especially those who have historically been pushed to the margins, we are not done. The quote by Dr. King reminds us, it's always the right time to do what is right. And James Baldwin told us plainly, not everything can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced. That is what this framework does. It gives us a way to face what needs changing and commit to the work of change together. So where are we in year 3? We've moved in with intention and consistency, working not just from a plan, but with the plan, side by side with district leaders, school sites, and our community partners. We began with the foundation academic success. This year, we strengthened student support through targeted intervention at Sylvia Mendez Elementary and partnered with the Extended Learning Department to begin shaping summer academic programming. The Meeting of Math Minds workshop helped us focus on differentiated strategies in math because how we teach must reflect the needs and strengths of every learner. We hosted our 3rd annual Black to School event, reminding students and families that they are seen and celebrated. And for the first time, our transition fair expanded to Berkeley High School because students deserve a clear, supported pathway as they grow through this system. We've also deepened our valued partnerships with College Bound, Young Gifted and Black, Healthy Black Families, and others, because when we collaborate with those who have already trust and connection with our families, we are stronger. In supporting our educators, we launched and sustained culturally and linguistically responsive professional learning like Longfellow, Year 3, Willard, Year 1, and within the Brea RTI team, Year 1. This is more training, is transformation. It's more than training, it's transformation, because student success is deeply tied to adult belief, mindset, and action. This work equips educators not only to teach, but to connect. Creating a safe and inclusive school climate is also central to the framework. At BTech, we've continued to invest in aligning school resources to help students stay on the college-going path or return to it when life gets difficult. This isn't about second chances, it's about creating systems that never gives up on kids in the first place. Our final pillar is community and his family and community engagement. And this year that meant, okay, oh, they shortened us, all right. So let's be honest, there's concern and caution too. Concern that without ongoing commitment, without continued effort from every level of the system, this progress stalls. You've heard from parents tonight, you've heard about their children being supported and where others feel invisible. These are both true. They both feel our commitment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Nicole Spo, and I'm speaking tonight on behalf of my co-chair, Vicki Davis, and the 31 members of the Berkeley School's Excellence Program and the Berkeley Educator Recruitment and Retention Act Planning and Oversight Committee, which collectively represent all 18 school sites. The short way to say all that is we are the Oversight Committee for the BSEP and BERA tax measures, which together account for $57 million, or approximately 1/4 of the district's total budget. The P&O has met diligently every 3 weeks over this past school year in our oversight duties to ensure the BSEP and BERA tax monies are always spent in accordance with the measures and towards improving educational outcomes for students across the district. One change we made to this year's process was to expedite review of the prior year's spend, focusing on efficacy and metrics in an effort to allocate more time looking forward to how next year's budget can be spent more successfully towards student outcomes. We look forward to continuously improving our process through feedback from the committee. At this point in the year, we've reviewed the 23-24 financial audits for BSEP and BERA, which were completed by Crowe LLP, an independent outside auditor, and forwarded with no findings. In addition, we completed our review of all 12 25-26 proposed program plans and budgets, and all were approved by the P&O. Therefore, we recommend the elected school board similarly approve all BSEP and BERA budgets as presented for the 25-26 school year. We ask that you please take note of several important considerations raised by the members of the P&O. First, clearly, this is an extremely difficult year of financial decision-making for BUSD. I serve together with my co-chair, Vicki Davis, on the Superintendent's Budget Advisory Committee, so we may understand the budget reductions being considered and provide perspective from the BSEP Oversight Committee in those discussions. The P&O has voted to approve 2 major actions in which BSEP tax measure will help alleviate the direct effects on students of our current budget reductions. First, we have approved the HQI class size calculation adjustment to 36-1 for K through 5, which will lead to $1.3 million in additional funds to be shared from BSEP to the general fund to pay for classroom teachers. This achieves BSEP's primary goal of lower class sizes and partially alleviates the funding crisis in our general fund. Second, the P&O approved using $850,000 from Measure E1 carryover funds to support the implementation of the new English language arts curriculum for this year, and an additional $487,000 for the 25-26 school year. Again, we believe this judicious use of carryover funds, which cannot be spent on headcount, is an appropriate use of BSEP dollars to ensure this important new curriculum is implemented with efficacy. Both of these expenses fall within the language of the measure, and we believe within the intent of Berkeley taxpayers to continue to provide small class sizes and the most effective education for all students. Given our roles as oversight members of a large source of funding for BUSD, we will continue to participate in the difficult work of the SBAC in evaluating BUSD-wide programs currently in place to find opportunities to focus our funding on programs that have shown efficacy in helping our students succeed academically and achieve college and career readiness post-BUSD. Towards that end, this year and in every future year, the P&O asks that we further leverage our BREA partners to increase available and consistent data on the efficacy of each of our programs so that the P&O and all other committees, as well as this board, may use it in their decision-making related to budget across the district. As always, all materials and meeting recordings of the P&O are available to the public online at the P&O page on the district website. We have deep appreciation for the team of Kathy Fleming, Danielle Perez, and Craig Kaufman for their tremendous work leading us through this annual process. And we sincerely thank the Berkeley property taxpayers for supporting and prioritizing education in our Berkeley community through their funding of both the BSEP and BERA tax measures. Thank you.
Thank you. We will move on to our union comments. Are there comments from BFT?
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, I don't got that much time. Okay. All right, hello? Okay, hello Superintendent and school board directors. I'm Regina Chagoya, here, and not Matt Meyer in the video. So, I'm Matt, I hope he's watching. I'm the Vice President of Berkeley Federation of Teachers. We hope you were able to make it out to an elementary open house that happened last week, or tomorrow middle school open house. We invite you, and even as the year winds down, our members are still hard at work showcasing student work and connecting with families. Oh, where'd she go? Oh, she probably went to the bathroom. Okay, I'll just email this to Khadija. When you see the work displayed, you can feel the relationships built and the school community in action. So much that we do is, so much of the work that we do, you just can't capture it in data points and presentation slideshows. Our educators go above and beyond to make sure that they can best serve their students. Many are attending summer all-day trainings next month. They voluntarily pack up and rebuild their classrooms every year. They attend countless meetings during their duty-free lunch and after work day instead of being home with their families. It is a labor of love, but we can't forget that it is still labor. We hear a lot of how much our educators are appreciated, but that appreciation doesn't always translate into action. We continue to have unresolved issues. Last year, the district and BFT agreed that the district would utilize a help desk ticket system to resolve pay issues. We agreed that it would begin in a year, which will be in August, although we have brought it up many times, we haven't received any updates or progress on it. And we are held accountable to our collective bargaining agreement, and the CBA is just that, an agreement amongst two sides, so where's the other side? We have had issues this year with an instructional assistant who has been absent from TK classes, and this means there are 24-year-olds and one adult all day. And not only does this violate the intent of the law, staffing 2 adults for 20 students, in the preschool universe, the same age group would have 3 adults. This happens in our after-school program, and when it does, the educators are paid for extra students that they now have to supervise and teach without support. This is past practice and follows the intent of our contract language. When we brought this up with the district and even wrote out ways to fix this, the district said no thanks. So the district thinks it's okay to have 24-year-olds, not 24-year-olds, but 20 little 4-year-olds with 1 adult this fall. And some of those students will be 3 years old. If any are not potty trained, there will not even be a way to change them safely. As for Sylvia Mendez, teachers have had to completely move their entire classrooms to portables and now have to move again, and then they will be moving one more time. So just bear with me, okay? I'm gonna try to, it's like a riddle. Because of literacy trainings, they basically have 4 days of teaching, an unpaid day of moving, an unpaid weekend of moving, so it's like 3 days right there, and then another unpaid day of moving, followed by 2 full days of literacy trainings. Teachers will be paid, I mean, that adds up, right? It's like 4 days, but teachers will be paid only 6 hours at the lowest pay rate of all this, and another 6 hours later in the summer to unpack. So our elementary classrooms, they're full of stuff, you know, we're just hoarders, elementary teachers, which makes elementary classes a hands-on living experience, but it just makes it moving like an apartment, you know? The district needs to provide a mover per classroom if they expect our teachers can actually move in this timeline. Not to mention they will be working 4 days in a row to move and then 2 all-day trainings, making it 10 consecutive work days, of which a good chunk is volunteer. The district should be making this move easy as possible. Lastly, okay, I got a minute. We know the district can do better when we sit down to negotiate. Our members need to know where the district stands on important issues like child-rearing leave, attending mandatory meetings after the workday, providing affordable health care, and how we take care of our educators who have been laid off, transparency around hiring contracts, and so many more issues. Unfortunately, we have one response over 20 proposals. Our educators continue to resign, so at this pace, we will have to continue to negotiate in the fall, and we'll expect more engagement as we improve working conditions for our teachers. Thank you, and good night.
Thank you so much, Vice President Shigoya. We have our other labor partners up, BCCE. Thank you so much.
Good evening, board members, superintendent, and cabinet. My name is Moja Sher. I'm the vice president for BCCE, and here with me is Frank Hernandez, the president of BCCE. And tonight, we're here to speak not just about the numbers on the layoff list, but about the values this board claims to stand for and the people who are left behind. We constantly hear talk about equity, but where is equity when it comes to BCCE? We hear about excellence, but where is excellence when it comes to how you treat BCCE workers? Last week proved that. The layoff list proved that. The rescind list proved it. Every single management position was pulled back. Meanwhile, 18 BCCE members are still wondering how they're going to feed their families, keep a roof over their heads, and provide health care for their children. Even worse is how this process has played out. We have to fight to hold on to the very work we've done for decades. Even with job descriptions in hand, what's the point of outlining duties and responsibilities if this district allows to come in and take over our work anyway? What should someone who has given 10, 20, even 30 years of service have to fight to justify the job they've already mastered? This isn't just about layoffs. It's about erasure. It's about stripping away the dignity, value, and recognition of BCCE staff and replacing it with silence and substitution. And after the fiasco last week, where countless hours of testimony, documents, and facts were presented to this board, none of it seemed to matter. The message was clear: no matter how much evidence we bring, no matter how well we advocate, BCCE is always the one expected to take the hit. And why? You cannot talk about equity while gutting the most diverse, most underpaid, and most student-facing workforce in the district. We're told there's no money, but if you can't keep every high-paid position and contractor, then you can afford to rescind every BCCE staff. How do you justify laying off someone who makes $3,000 a month while keeping someone who makes $9,000? And don't say it's because there's no work, because in many cases, the people being kept aren't doing their own jobs. They're doing our work. And when we call that out, we're told to turn a blind eye, but we won't. We are being laid off while our work is reassigned or contracted out. We have to sit back and watch others who don't hold our classifications and aren't in our union get paid more to do what we've already done for decades. And here's the truth. You can do anything, but you can't do everything. One of my favorite speakers said that, and it applies here. The board trying to do everything: manage, supervise, contract out, and now even absorb BCCE work without the very people who've kept schools running for decades. It won't work. Can this district run with all management and no BCCE? I would honestly love to see you try. because without BCCE staff, schools don't open, phones don't get answered, children don't get supported, buildings don't stay clean, budgets don't get processed, students with disabilities don't get served. And let me say this, our members are not just losing jobs, they are sacrificing for each other. We have single mothers who don't know how they're going to care for their kids. We have members who would rather be on the layoff list themselves than bump someone who is the sole provider for their family. And bless you, Daniel Bronson. That is the heart of BCCE. That is who we are, and that is who you are choosing to lay off. If equity is more than just a slogan in this district, then show it. If student support truly matters, then prove it. Stop making BCCE staff the first to be cut and the only, and the last to be considered. We are not disposable, we are not invisible, and we are not going away. So please do the right thing, resend all BCCE 18 staff. Thank you.
Thank you so much, BC. Do we have other union comments today? Nope. We'll move on to board member comments. Do we have student board member comments? I'd like to go first. Thank you so much.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Happy Jewish Heritage Month, and thank you, Jewish Student Union, for an insightful presentation. Also, kudos to the two students who presented to us. That is not an easy task, and they did it very well. I wanted to begin by thanking everyone who spoke during public comment. As a student board representative, it's incredibly important to me to hear directly from my community. And your concerns, especially regarding RISE, a program in which I have so much respect for, funding OFI, our teachers not receiving enough benefits, advocating for a valuable teacher, and considering a special block schedule as a solution for required PE credits have not gone unnoticed. Today, I wanted to take a slightly different approach with my board comment, especially after seeing the Bridge program presentation and all the amazing faces, students and teachers who've played such a significant role in my life over the past 4 years. As a student representative, I'm deeply honored to even be in this role, and I'm grateful that our district values student voices and gives us a seat at this dais. And I believe that it's my responsibility to use this platform not only to advocate, but to offer an essential perspective, the student perspective. And I've been a part of Bridge since my freshman year, and calling it a program doesn't do it justice. It's a family. My cohort is led by a teacher, Mix Matsumoto, who somehow balances teaching a full-time class with case managing dozens of students. They make sure we're in class, our grades are up, we're fed after school, provided a space to do homework, and keep our families informed on our grades and attendance. And they do all of this with compassion and consistency. And the same goes for the rest of the Bridge team. Ms. Luxford, the Bridge program coordinator, always has her door open for snacks, support, or just to talk. Ms. Hammond helps us navigate college applications, mental health, and everything in between. And the reality is, a school with nearly 4,000 students can't rely on baseline support alone. Counselors have an overwhelming caseload, often managing hundreds of students each, and that makes meaningful, individualized support nearly impossible, and many students end up feeling lost. Bridge fills that gap. It provides the kind of hands-on, personal guidance that so many of us, especially Black and Brown youth, wouldn't otherwise receive. And I respect how tough budget decisions can be, but we need to hold ourselves accountable. Berkeley Unified has the second largest achievement gap in the nation. Cutting funding from Bridge, a program directly working to close that gap, isn't just a setback, it's a contradiction to our values. So I'll end with this. Bridge isn't extra, it's essential. Let's be a district that doesn't just talk about equity, but truly invests in it. And before I go, I wanted to make a quick few announcements. So tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. is a Spring African Diaspora Dance Show in the Berkeley High Big Theater. It's $8 for students, $12 for general admission, and it's a really amazing celebration of culture and talent. And also, since we're heading into graduation season, AC graduation is May 27th, and Black graduation is May 31st. I would highly implore you all to come. And just a quick reminder to all students, not just seniors, to turn in your library books and textbooks. I just turned mine in today. But yeah, thank you all. That concludes my statement.
Thank you so much, Student Director Clark. Do we have other board members who'd like to go next? Director Shinosky.
I'll keep my comments brief in the name of time. I just want to congratulate all of the seniors graduating at the many different graduations and celebrations over the last couple weeks and going into the next couple weeks. And I especially want to thank our very own graduating senior here, because I didn't have a chance to last week when you announced your decision. So congratulations.
Thank you. You did keep that very short. Who would like to go next? Dr. Vasudev.
Mine are just going to be short also in the interest of time. Wanted to thank, again, all the teachers and staff members that have made all the various graduations really special for our students, also including little elementary school students and middle school students. It's been really sweet to go to the different campuses, and just really wanted to thank the staff for taking that time. I know it requires you staying after school and fundraising for some of those smaller graduations, so thanks everyone.
Thank you so much. Director Cohen.
I'll pile on to those comments to say that it's a very exciting time. I am very excited for all the seniors. I'm also the parent of a senior, as is Director Chang. So we're deep in it ourselves. It was really great last week to get to go to the Mayor's Award ceremony and also the reclassification ceremony, which celebrated kids across many grade levels who have been reclassified as fluent in English, which was such a beautiful event. And there's also, I appreciated Regina encouraging all of us to go to open house, because there's also the formal graduation ceremonies are really wonderful, but there's so many other great events happening this time of year, and it's just such an important time for us all to pause and celebrate with our kids and honor all the hard work and all the transitions, and I just want to name all of that. I'll pass it back.
Thank you so much, Director Korn. I'll keep it short as well. As Director Korn noted, I also have a graduating senior. I'm very pleased with his education here at BUSD, and I'm very happy for him as he moves on to university. I attended the small school AHA graduation last night at Freight and Salvage, and it's a shout out to the amazing small schools at BHS, but our range of programming here at BUSD and BHS in particular. It was clear from the graduating senior student comments at that event that there is a lot of love and there's a real sense of community in that small school, and a real sense of creativity, innovation, and real support for arts and crafts and poetry, etc. And I'd be remiss, apologies for the coughing, something's going around. I'm not contagious anymore, it's been weeks. It's just lingering, it's allergies at this point. I want to, of course, do a shout out. This is API Heritage Month. In addition to shout out to Jewish Heritage and History Month and the important contributions of the Jewish American community to Berkeley. It is API Heritage Month, and last week we had an amazing event coordinated and run and supported by the API BUSD group and teachers and staff at Longfellow in Exile at the adult school. A really nice venue, lots of amazing food, students who provided poetry and reflections on what it meant to their Asian American experience meant for them, dancing, music. There was a whole slew of both catered food and food that folks were making on site, including custom-made boba. And yes, it's very delicious. And I do have to say, I apologize to our superintendent before, but we forgot to put aside a plate of food and everyone ate it up. She got there a little late. She knows that dinner is on me at some point, your choice. So it was so fun, and I want to give a shout out for the teachers there too. Asian American Lit teachers, Dan Kung and Matt Laurel, who are teaching one of the first classes in decades on Asian American studies. My daughter and I, my daughter is a 2022 grad of BHS. We came and visited both of their classes, and we also visited APIC, the API Club at Berkeley High School. They made some amazing t-shirts and sweatshirts that they were providing at the event. Superintendent Shinaski did get some swag and got a t-shirt. I think we still owe something for Associate Superintendent Hukendijk. Yeah, what's that?
You just said Superintendent Shinaski.
Oh, future Superintendent Shinaski, current Superintendent Ford Morthell. I apologize. And Associate Superintendent Hukendijk, we have a t-shirt coming your way as well from that group. And I do want to thank everybody for coming out and sharing their hearts and minds. And we know this is a very challenging time with regard to budget cuts, et cetera, and there's some very complicated decisions being made. Policy Committee has met. Please come to Policy Committee for public comments. We are lonesome without you. Rarely do you come. We meet all the time. And again, please continue to reach out to me with office hours. And next but not least, the real superintendent, Superintendent Ford Morthell next.
Thank you, Vice President Chang. Good evening, BUSD family.
Good evening.
You guys are getting better. It's just only May. Two meetings left, but you guys have finally got it. I will be brief as well. I just wanted to say, like Winter said, that this is the season, right? This is the season of not just graduations, but promotions and celebrations of all the accomplishments of our BUSD students from pre-K all the way to adult school. I was able to attend many of the events that you just heard shared this evening, and looking forward to attending the many more events that we have in the days and weeks to come. I had the privilege of attending actually the Bridge graduation last week. It was a beautiful ceremony of our first cohort, where there were 2 cohorts graduating. So like you heard in the presentation, over 50 students. Also had the opportunity to celebrate the graduates from our college-bound program this past Saturday, and I am very, very much looking forward to congratulating and recognizing the seniors graduating from the RISE ceremony this Friday. All of the programs, you didn't get to hear much about all of them, but all of those programs provide resources, opportunities, support, community and family and network to babies who otherwise wouldn't or maybe couldn't find such resources and support and space in our BUSD schools. So I am, as a superintendent, fortunate to be in a community where we have so many people, so many programs, and so many partners that truly are committed, like I am and my board is, to equity, excellence, enrichment, and engagement. I'm excited that you were able to learn about some of those programs and look forward to sharing with you more about the various programs that we have for our babies here in BUSD. I also want to get on your calendars, not me personally, but I would like you to mark your calendars for Saturday, June 7th. At Saturday, June 7th at 10 a.m., BUSD, along with our city and development partners, will celebrate the groundbreaking of the Workforce Housing Project at 1701 San Pablo Avenue. Come on, y'all, workforce housing. Talk about appreciating our educators. We're now going to be able to provide some housing for many of our staff. Upon completion, this project will comprise 110 affordable housing units specifically designated for BUSD educators. It's expensive to live in Berkeley. Y'all know that? It's expensive to live in the East Bay. It's expensive to live in California. And so we know that educator workforce housing will really be of assistance to many of our district's employees, and will be a strategy to both recruit and retain quality educators, both certificated and classified. So please mark your calendars again, June 7th, and I look forward to seeing you all, not just there, but again at the many ceremonies and celebrations that we're having over the days to come. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now move on to the consent calendar. Is there a motion to approve this evening's consent calendar?
I move to do so.
Moved by Director Chang.
I'll
Is there
second.
a second? Seconded by Director Shinaski. All those in favor, please signify with the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposers?
Aye.
Abstentions? The ayes have it and the motion carries. Now we will move on to our first discussion item of the evening, which will be an update on Berkeley Unified School District's Extended Learning Program. If you've been watching the board meetings, either here in person or online, you learned from our superintendent that they were preparing a presentation for us because there were a lot of questions around the extended learning program, a lot of questions around positions within the program. And so there's been a lot of thoughtfulness that has gone into it. And so we are going to receive that presentation in just a moment. I am asked for a 5-minute break from my colleagues, and so we will take a 5-minute break, which includes a 5-minute break for you all as well in the audience, and then we will come back and receive our extended learning presentation. Thank you. Here it is. All right, so again, we will now receive our presentation tonight on the extended learning plan. As many of you know, Berkeley Unified School District has two after-school and before-school programs across all of our, well, not all of our schools, but across 12 of our schools. And so tonight we will receive an update on the extended learning vision, the progress and challenges towards realizing the vision, the status update on program funding and proposals for family fee rate changes, the status update on enrollment and enrollment requirements, partnership opportunities with the City of Berkeley to expand our after-school offerings, and our current and projected funding. So I'd like to welcome Associate Superintendent Hogendijk, who will give more of an introduction if needed, but we'll definitely introduce our presenters this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, President Brown. Good evening, members of the board and members of the public. I'm Jill Hogendijk, the Associate Superintendent, and I'm joined here this evening with Dr. Jessica Bonduras, who's our Interim Director of State and Federal Programs, and our Interim Manager of Extended Learning, Mr. Yusuf Oleda. I think that President Brown covered our scope of presentation. We are going to be covering a lot of particular topics, but I think that what is important to know is that our extended learning programs are an opportunity for us to realize our district mission to enable and inspire our diverse student body to achieve academic excellence and make positive contributions to the world. It's also a body of work that is complicated, complex, and has a number of requirements and guidelines and expectations that are held both internally and by the public. But our after-school and extended learning programs are an important service that we provide to our students for a number of of important reasons. We want to connect the work of extended learning to both our LCAP and our emerging strategic plan. Over the last year, we have been focused on our extended learning program, realizing that this was an area of improvement and a need for our community. In that focus, we have been implementing and evaluating the program based on a number of components that hit every single one of our strategic plan pillars. We think about how we're connecting our after-school programs to academics and an opportunity to extend the school day. We consider how we're providing enrichment opportunities for our young people to engage. We have been really looking at staffing for sustainability and working to address recruitment of our critical staff who work with our students. And we are constantly considering how we might maximize our funding sources and at the same time hold ourselves accountable to the grant and funding requirements. As President Brown stated, we do have two programs in BUSD. Our extended learning program covers both our LEARNS program and BEARS, both of which serve to provide students with safe and caring opportunities in academics and enrichment activities. And while there's some variation on the number of days of service and how they're staffed and the student groups that are prioritized for enrollment, the crux of it is that we have safe and caring, welcoming places for our young people to go before and after school. We want to share first and ground us in an overarching vision that we have for extended learning programs. And you can see again here, this is lined up against our strategic plan pillars. We hold a vision that our extended learning programs start with having clear goals in alignment with school day learning and serves as a lever for both equity and access, particularly for our unduplicated student groups. Our goals and actions are outlined in our Expanded Learning Opportunities Program Plan Guide, which is linked on the previous slide and can be found on our district's website. Every day, we work to ensure a safe, inclusive, supportive environment and provide engaging, expanded learning opportunities that are provided by well-trained staff. We do all of this with an eye toward continuous improvement and use our available funding resources in an impactful and efficient way. We want to make sure that at the foundation, we understand that we entered this year with our programming as a focus, and as we considered where we are in realizing that vision, partnership and engagement was a key factor in our work, and that pillar was foundational toward our effort in improving our program. We've engaged in a number of ways. We have met monthly with our PTA collaborative, who have provided feedback, shared concerns, and helped generate ideas. After-school programming was a ongoing topic in our 2x2 meetings with the City of Berkeley throughout the school year, and we've been working with them to see how we might enroll BUSD students who are currently on our Bears and Learns waiting list into city programs and then help coordinate the transportation. You'll be hearing a little bit about that in the last part of our presentation. This year, in addition to our annual fiscal audit, we had two external reviews, one from the Alameda County Office of Education, and the other was the California Department of Education's Federal Program Monitoring Review. And you see here that some of the highlights were our need to attend to some of our protocols, processes, particularly with regard to attendance taking and how we are maximizing the use of our funding sources. And we've also been able to hold discussions with our labor partners as we've worked to address areas for improvement and efficiencies, particularly with regard to staffing. Across the other components of our vision and mission, or the vision of the program, you can see here that we've identified a number of strengths alongside of several challenges, and I'm not going to read through all of these today because we're going to be hitting a number of them as we move through the program. But ultimately, we are working to prioritize access for unduplicated students, and at the same time recognize that there are areas that we need to improve, particularly around communication, how we're supporting students, and how we are strengthening both our program on the academic front, but also to minimize the variance that is experienced across a number of sites. In the last two components of our pillars, we do want to acknowledge that and you have heard here at the dais in a number of public comments, that we have a very dedicated staff. We have a staff who have made deep connections with our students and families, and also want to shout out that many of them are also BUSD alumni, which is a great opportunity for folks to come back and serve in the spaces where they were once served. But we also recognize that some of our greatest challenges in realizing the vision have to do with system efficiency and fiscal responsibility. And you see a couple of things highlighted on this slide, but we are going to be going over these as we move through the presentation. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Yusuf.
Thank you, Jill. So I'm going to be talking about funding for our extended learning programs. Our funding comes from three buckets primarily. We have our ACES grant, our ELOP funding, and our family fees. These funding sources sustain our after-school program, our intercession programs, and our summer program as well. And I'll be talking about each of those. So our ELOP funding supports staffing, materials and supplies, MOUs for enrichment activities, and contractors for SPED supports and additional staffing capacity. As you can see, our ELOP revenue and carryover sustained our expenditures for this year and for next year. Our budget projection going forward, however, shows that our revenue and carryover will not sustain that expenditure. Our ACES and family fees together support staffing, online registration systems, materials and supplies, MOUs for enrichment and sports activities, as well as transportation. Combined, they total roughly $5.6 million. However, our estimated expenses for the program exceed $7 million, leaving us with an estimated net deficit of $1.6 million. So California Department of Ed Code defines our unduplicated population as students who are English learners, homeless youth as defined by McKinney-Vento, students who are foster children, and those who are eligible for free and reduced price lunch. Those are our focal students in our program. You can see here that our enrollment prioritization is aligned with Ed Code, beginning with our unduplicated population at the top and moving downward. I know that enrollment and wait lists have been a major topic this year. This is our current numbers across our sites. Currently, we have 2,265 students enrolled in our programs, with 438 students waitlisted. You can see from the graph that the vast majority of our waitlisted students are at the elementary level, and most of those are at TK and Kinder. That issue is compounded by the fact that the ratio is 10-to-1, and we have expanding universal TK. I'm going to pass it over to Jessica.
Okay. Great, thank you, Yusuf. I'll be first discussing family fees. Okay, so family fees help fund our program. They fund personnel and enrichment activities, and we've had the same family fee structure. It's a sliding scale based on family size and household income since 2017. The sliding scale, I'm going to pull out a few examples. If a family has a monthly income of $2,541 for a family of two, that family would pay $55 a month for full-time enrollment, which is defined as 5 days a week. Another data point was if a family has a monthly income of $8,199 for a family of six, that family would pay $540 a month for full-time enrollment. So how does Berkeley Unified line up with the other surrounding districts? So first, let's look at summer school. So as you can see, in some of the districts, Alameda, New Haven, and Albany, they only offer summer school to unduplicated families. Berkeley offers it first to our unduplicated families, of course, and then open it up to fee-paying families. The cost is $720 for summer school. The JCC we have linked there because a lot of our families use that program for summer school, and the charge there is $1,100. For our after-school programs, you can see here how Berkeley Unified lines up with some surrounding districts. So for example, in Alameda, the cost is $484 a month for kindergarten through 5th grade. And in Berkeley, we have TK and K at $475 a month and $450 a month for 1st through 5th grade. Albany is a little bit more, as you can see. For before school, similarly to summer school, not all districts have before school. We do. We charge $200 a month for before school compared to Alameda at $380 a month and $116 a month for New Haven. So we've been thinking about and hearing an idea to increase fees, increase family fees. And so we took a stab at that and increased a draft revised family fee as an increase of 20% across the board in all the different cells. We brought that to first the PTA Council and got some really great feedback from that group. Their feedback specifically was, why don't you think about having an additional higher tier for families who make higher monthly income? Another idea from the PTA Council was to have a lower sibling discount. Ours is 50% right now. Charging more for summer school, increasing the cost difference between part-time and full-time enrollment, and also an idea to rent Berkeley Unified classrooms for school space for private after-school providers. Additional feedback we got was thinking about aligning income levels in the sibling discounts, not just taking off the 50% for everyone, but aligning that to income. And then also, again, an idea for an additional tier, but in lieu of the 20%. So just to give a data point, if we did an increase of 20% across the board, it would yield a revenue of $618, $367 annually. So just so you have a little bit of an idea what that would look like. We're still getting feedback, so that is a work in progress. So some of the questions, if we raise family fees, will we be able to enroll more students? And the answer is not necessarily. We have to first enroll all of our priority students, so all of our unduplicated students. And then we're additionally limited by the staffing ratio, the 10-to-1 in TKK and the 20-to-1 in the other grades. In addition, recruitment and retention of LEARN's ITs has been challenging. Another question we've been hearing is, if we raise family fees, will we be able to have sustainable funding given our staffing structure? This answer, again, is complicated. So ELOP and the ACES funding that Yusuf spoke about is tied to unduplicated students who get the priority enrollment. And so if we enroll all of our unduplicated students as we're supposed to, there'll be limited space for fee-paying families without additional staff. And then compounded with the rising labor and operational costs, make it really hard to rely on fees alone for sustainable funding. And again, our staffing challenges. So it's a little bit complicated. I wanted to show you some examples of extended learning programs staffing, starting with what we currently have. So on this slide, you can see our current staffing structure, right? We operate in our 12 schools with 14 with Bears. And you can see right now there's a program coordinator and program specialist. However, in the gray boxes, those represent vacancies. And so the way we're funding our program right now is because we have those vacancies, we're taking the cost of the money that we recouped with those vacancies to fund our current program. In thinking about our desired outcomes of maintaining the program at all of our existing sites, being fiscally sustainable over time, increasing the capacity of our students, for getting students off the wait list, and also increasing the capacity and oversight and training and evaluation and supervision that's needed, and the compliance issues that Jill mentioned that we got some feedback from the county. We looked at maybe a scenario A, looking at 2 elementary schools covered by 1 program coordinator with 2 specialists. Or option B, maybe thinking about 3 elementary schools under 1 program coordinator and then 2 specialists over, with 3 elementary schools. However, both of these models there wasn't sustainable funding for those models. This other scenario we were thinking about, again, with the same desired outcomes, and thinking really about the compliance and oversight and delivery of services, we were thinking about what if we could have 2 supervisors, we currently have 1, and then have a specialist at each school, but each supervisor would be over 6 of our schools. This is just an idea that we had as well. I wanted to also mention the topic of contractors, and so we currently utilize 2 contractors in the after-school program. Alivo is one of them, and Alivo is used to provide after-school services to students alongside our Berkeley Unified employees. To reduce as many students as we possibly can off reduce the wait list as much as possible. So currently we have 21 Alivo contractors in our after-school program. We need this because we have a lot of IT vacancies and a few AI staffing vacancies as well. But that's not what we want. We want to hire as many ITs as possible, and so we can lower this contract. And so we've been thinking about and already doing some things to that end. So for example, we'll be having a career fair to have strategic recruitment in this area. We're working with the Personnel Commission to get more than, looking at our enrollment list and seeing how we can get people in jobs as soon as possible. Getting the word out to families, making sure that our families know, hey, this is what an IT does. Would you be interested? Here are the hours. And so being more vocal about the need. And then looking for opportunities to increase hours of the day and just making the position more attractive. How can we combine things in a strategic way? We've already reduced the Alivo contract by $5 million. $1.5 million went down to $1 million. We were using COVID funding, the COVID recovery funds, which, as you know, are now expired, and ELOP to fund this contract. But we've been working with the Alivo company to also lessen the contract. We've reduced the number of Alivo contractors, we've changed the Alivo staffing model, and we've also reduced the time that we now need to, as part of the contract, to exit the contractors, and so we can hire our people faster. The next step is to do the same sort of analysis and review with the Emergis contract, which is for our students who have an IEP and require one-to-one service. So some really exciting news and collaboration that's been happening with the city of Berkeley that Jill mentioned before. This collaboration started specifically around the after-school program the fall of 2024. Now we have we are in the spring of 2025, and we are in a position now where we've talked to the city of Berkeley, had many meetings, brought in our transportation department, brought in our after-school leadership, and we are at a position now where there are 2 other places that the city of Berkeley is going to be able to open for after-school programming. And our transportation department can transport our students there. And so right now we're analyzing where the enrollment for next year learns and seeing the locations and the transportation routes to see where we can pick up from. And but they're going to be opening another program at Willard and at Shoreline. So we're excited about that. And then again, as mentioned before, we are thinking about getting feedback and reimagining our family fee structure. Thank you. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you all so much for taking the time to present and coming to talk to the board this evening. I have questions. I'm sure my colleagues have questions. I see folks still writing, so I'll go first. But I wanted to go back to a couple of slides. Let's first start with the slide around the fees for families. I believe it's the second Q&A slide, slide number 21. Perfect, thank you. So I wanted to ask, currently, what is the percentage of families who are paying for the after-school program at the $540 a month rate? And the reason I'm asking is because, the ELOP funding and the ACES funding is tied to unduplicated students. But what is our percentage of families that are paying at the highest rate? And so those are the families who are, have a monthly income of more than $8,199. And so what percentage of families is that currently?
I currently don't have that number with me, but we can run those numbers and see how many are at each tier.
Okay, that would be really great to know, because then that'll, what helps us to better understand how much more money we can generate or from the program if we know what percentage of families are paying at the highest rate. And so I definitely understand the priority to ensure that our unduplicated students have access to our after-school programs. That's what the ACES grant does, well, part of what the ACES grant does, and then some of the intention behind it. But how do we, I'm just trying to figure out best how we come up with our rationales if we don't know our percentages. So you'll come back with that information.
We absolutely will, and I will say now when we're doing the enrollment for next year, one of the things, because you show your income, right? That's part of the documentation, and so looking at, because I wanted to know, well, how many of our families, if we went to that higher tier, would make above that, and so we don't have that information because that wasn't part of the tiers before, right? And so that's another data point we're looking at. Yusuf, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I will say that total family fees are $3 million. And as this would be a 20% fee increase across the board, that would result in roughly $600,000 in increased revenue.
618, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you so much. Are you ready, or could I ask my other one? Go ahead. Okay, if we go back to slide number 7 around challenges. I wanted to ask around the academic excellence and equitable outcomes portion. One of the challenges that was identified was serving our unduplicated students and ensuring equitable access and tailored supports. And I was wondering if you could take some time to really unpack that and help us understand what you mean.
Yeah, absolutely. So we mentioned that as a challenge because we currently have students who are unduplicated on our wait list. And so just making sure that we're serving all of our students, we identified that as a challenge because there isn't staffing right now to allow for that.
And I think part of what was happening was that there was a systems issue for the team being able to get access for students who are on free and reduced price lunch. That is the kind of data information that is on lockdown in systems for all sorts of reasons. So one shift that we have been able to make this year, and actually starting with the launch for next school year, is that we were able to make arrangements to get that list so that we could do targeted outreach to that particular set of students first. So those letters went out just a few weeks ago so that we will have a better, we were always playing catch up. It was like, let's see who enrolls and then we could get the numbers, and we worked to flip that as part of our internal process.
Okay, thank you for thank you both for taking the time to explain that, because, in my mind, if we're hearing our ELOP and our ACES grants are here and we're using that money to best support our unduplicated students, but then we have unduplicated students on the wait list, like how does that happen? And so it's good to hear that you all have access to that. And if there is additional policy work that needs to be done to ensure that we as a board make sure that that information is accessible, please let us know, and we would love to support in whatever way we can. Director Fasadov?
Thanks. I just have 2 questions. One, I'm excited to hear about the possible expansion with the city and the different rec sites. Wanted to know if the district is planning on charging transportation for the families that are paying at the full amount for those programs, number 1. And number 2, can you explain to me kind of the configuration of what you've thought of for the configuration between like the ratio of supervisors to staff members that are providing direct oversight over the children? Just wanted to know, like, explain to me again the structure for like supervisors to people watching the children.
I'll do the transportation. So as you are aware, the transportation conversation is part of our budget balancing situation. So depending on where we land there, that would be applied for our transportation for after school. BUSD is unique in that we transport students to non-BUSD programs after school. In this particular case, we are working in partnership with the city of Berkeley so that we can target students who are on our current wait list for programs. So we're trying to think outside of the box about that whole constellation of processes. But I'll let Dr. Bonduras and Youssef answer the staffing questions.
Yeah, so to speak about the coordinators, the structure is a coordinator at a site with a specialist in an ideal situation, and in the neighborhood of 5 to 7 ITs that are the direct service providers at each site. Did you want me to elaborate on that? Or?
So is that the plan for next year too, or like what's the staffing going to look like next year?
So we were tasked with reaching out to programs across Alameda County and to find out what other programs are doing and what best practices were in Alameda County. And there are a variety of structures. Most of them include a position similar to a coordinator. None of them included a coordinator at every site. Most of them were overseeing multiple sites with support staff at each site. Given our current situation, we will be working to allocate our coordinators equitably across the sites as best we can.
Do you know when you'd have that information ready for the Board of Education, just so we know what it'll look like next year and how that might impact the number of students served?
Yeah, well, right now we are looking, just as shared, option A and option B, we're iterating on options right now to best serve, enrolling as many students as possible, the supervision, the evaluation, the ratios, and taking all those into consideration, and then bringing it back and having conversations with different partners, getting feedback. And so we're at that stage right now. We know that our current staffing model, as I mentioned before, we're only able to pay for that this year because of using the money that's with the vacancies. And so we have just a lot of thinking and modeling to look over.
Director Shanowski?
Yeah, I have a few questions. So on slide 12, this is about the estimated net revenue, the ACEs and family fees annual funding. So that $1.6 million deficit. Yeah, right there. Thank you. That $1.6 million deficit, where is that budgeted from? So it seems like we're spending more for our Learns and Bear, our after-school program, than we are getting through the grants and family fees. Right. So is that additional revenue coming budgeted out of the general fund, or some other fund? Where is that additional revenue budgeted from?
So this is a projection for next year. So right now, we're not pulling from the general fund, but this is forecasting, if given our current staffing, what it would look like.
Okay.
And without raising fees or anything like that.
So where is it budgeted from for next year, though? Because that's the budget that we're currently considering. So are those dollars?
The question is, yeah, so that goes with the other question around staffing. How are we reimagining what the staffing and the structure looks like to be within our means, as well as where are we going to land with the family fee increases so that it is sustainable and that we can move forward for next year with a green budget.
Okay, so I think my question is, we're currently looking at the budget and budget considerations, and we will need to pass a budget in the next month. So if this is the projection for next year, then this has to be budgeted somehow in the budget that we'll be considering in the next month. And so what I'm wondering is where is that, which fund is that budgeted out of?
It's a combination of ACES and ELOP. It's braided funding, so we would be pulling from another funding source. We'd be pulling from the ELOP funding or the ACES funding we would be moving funding over and braiding it differently so that it would be sustainable.
And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, right? So this projection currently includes if we were fully staffed at the current staffing model. So we are not in the position to fill any of those vacant positions at this point in time, because if we did, it would be contributing to this 1.6. So we're going to be not filling those positions.
So the actual budget that we'll be considering next month will be about $1.7 million less than what's shown here as the total revenue, or total expenditures.
We're going to have to, so the impact of having that budget means that we have to decrease on the costs that exist. So if we have open positions that we will need to figure out what that restructure looks like based on recent decisions, then we're not going to be able to fill those positions. And that also might mean reduced staffing, reduced contract services, which then means reduced spaces, right, for our students. So we won't be, there is a scenario where we won't be able to serve as many students as we are currently because of the limitations on budget to complete the hiring.
Got it. I have a couple more questions on this slide, and then I have a couple of other questions. So can you tell me where the contractors are on this slide? Is that in field/activities? Is that the contractor fees?
No, it's in the ELOP funding.
Okay. And then the vacancies, do those in vacancies include the vacancies for the ITs that we're looking to fill?
It does include the vacancies for the ITs. It also currently includes the vacancies, as Jill mentioned, for the supervisor and coordinator.
Right, okay. So there's some amount of sort of double counting, though, because we have coordinators counted in the ELOP funding, and then we're counting the vacancies for those ITs, right?
Yeah, a coordinator is right now funded 50-50 from both of our grants.
Yeah, I think it's important to know, too, that another added component of budgeting on grant funds is that we have restricted amounts of those total grants that can be used for administrative costs. And when you have coordinators that are in the classification of administrators, you have to be really careful not to exceed that 15%, which I think it's the ACES funds also includes the indirect costs.
I'm sorry, I don't know if I misspoke, but I was talking about the ITs. We're double counting the ITs in both spots then, because we're counting the contractors in the ELOP budget, and then we're counting the vacancies in the other slide, when we ideally wouldn't need contractors if we were hiring staff.
The ITs are in the ACES grant.
Okay, I must have misspoken then. Okay. I have just a couple of questions about the contractors and then two other quick things. So you said we currently have 21 contractors, and that's the cost of $1 million this coming year. And I'm wondering how many job openings we have posted for, like how many vacancies we have posted in our searching, and I'm hoping that they match, because I know there has been some confusion and concern about having contractors in positions that are not actually open and being filled.
Yeah, and we're doing a position control analysis as well.
We do have matching vacancies, and we are recruiting. In fact, my staff started last week contacting everybody who's on the eligibility list for these positions to start to offer them jobs for August, because we can't process them fast enough for them to start this school year. But to get them hired, and we're also planning a career hiring event to try to fill as many positions so that we hopefully will not have to have any contractors in the after-school program, other than what we can't provide because we don't have those positions. So.
Great, thank you so much, and thank you for that work. I know that it's a big lift, but I think it'll make a huge difference to our staff and also to the programs. Okay, two last things. One is, I know in the 2x2, we had brought up the idea of aligning some of our aftercare programs with the districts, with the, they're not called districts, they're called regions, zones in BUSD. So right now, if I go to an after school, if I go to Malcolm X, my kids went to Malcolm X, and I wanted my kids to then go to Live Oak Park for after school, that would be a possibility. But transportation becomes much easier when it is aligned with our zones. And we had talked about that at the 2x2, and I'm just wondering if that conversation continued at all, or if it could.
Yeah, it has continued. It has continued in part of our conversation with the city of Berkeley and our transportation department. And I know that that department is also rethinking their routes. And so to provide, to your point, more efficient, here to there to, yeah. And so it's because of that reconfiguring that we're able to offer another option for the Willard and the Shoreline.
And just maybe another idea that just came to mind is if the city isn't willing to sort of rezone their programs because it's too complicated, maybe what it is that we provide after-school transportation just within zones, to programs within zones, to try and maximize the number of kids we could serve. Okay, last quick things. One is the use of part-time learns days and hours while signing up for full-time care. So we've heard time and time again, we know that full-time care is prioritized, but then many families then choose to have it actually utilize it only part-time, which of course impacts our attendance numbers. And I'm wondering if we've done any work. I know that we've talked about it, so I'm assuming the answer is yes, but I'm wondering what we've done to try and figure out how to sort of fix that problem so that, again, we can maximize the number of kids we're serving. Yeah.
We've done many things around attendance. One is just a reboot and recalibration on how attendance is taken. What do we do if we don't have accurate attendance? Because we had to resubmit some things in order to not, because there were some mistakes. And so additional training has taken place around attendance. One of the PTA collaborative feedbacks was to increase, as I mentioned, the increase in cost between part-time and full-time so that people are really paying for what they're going to be getting. I don't know if that would help at all, but it's just made me think about, just the difference between part-time and full-time. But our attendance taking is an area that we need to continue to make improvements on, and we're working to that.
Yeah, and maybe find a way to disincentivize the part-time use and full-time pay, because it's only certain families that can actually do that, afford to do that within our district, and then it limits, opportunities for other kids to be enrolled.
Well, and it also impacts our grant funding, right? Because we have to maintain, and Yusuf will know better than me, we have to maintain a certain attendance rate. And because we have had inconsistencies in our attendance taking, and because we have part-time employees, it is negatively impacting the grant funding that we have.
Okay, and I just want to thank all of you, because I know, especially Yusuf, I know you're going back to the classroom, but I want to really thank you for your commitment to this work this year, because I know that it's really vital for families and so impactful. So we love our learns.
And our bears. And thank you for mentioning the attendance, because, you know, we're both on the audit committee, and what was shared was not necessarily around who's coming at what time, but more so around the attendance taking. Like, that was the biggest challenge that the district was having. And so have we really considered or thought about like a uniformed approach to taking attendance, whether it is the same attendance tracker at every site, or whether it is attendance taken around the same time for every site? What are our protocols that we've thought about to really help us with that?
I can speak to this.
Yes,
So
please.
we have had a training led by a CDE expanded learning expert, I would say, in the field. And she led all of our coordinators and specialists through the importance of attendance taking and doing it properly, made it abundantly clear to us that the 85% threshold and the 70% threshold for attendance, those are clear red lines. If we're below those ratios, we automatic funding reductions. And I got to give some credit to Brazil McIntyre as well, who was our learn supervisor, who has she has created documents and spreadsheets that are meant to kind of ensure and provide a backup plan in the event that attendance procedures are not followed properly, that we can still, and in the end, get an accurate attendance count to CDE, which will limit negative ramifications.
Thank you so much. That's so great to hear, especially because it wasn't just an audit finding this go around, but it has been consistently. So hearing that we've done the work that we need to do to make those changes is really kind of motivating and gives us some hope. So thank you all for that. Director Korn.
Thank you again for all of your work and for your presentation. I want to build on some of these questions about systems. I really appreciate hearing about how we're improving our systems to make sure that we're enrolling duplicated students, how we're improving our systems around taking attendance. I've also heard from a lot of community members about our system, our payment systems. I've heard from families who said, I'm ready to pay for Learns, but I don't know how, or I've tried to sign into the portal and I couldn't access my account, or no one's asked me to pay all year, or I never paid for summer. Can you speak to this issue and how you're addressing it?
Yeah, thank you. And we've heard that too. And so along the same lines as the attendance reboot and the training and the expectations, the same thing has to happen for collection of family fees. And so what are the expectations, what are the systems, what are the protocols, and what are the timelines? And so going forward, that's the work, right, is really putting this all down, making it clear, providing the training and the coaching so that we are all operating the same way and that we aren't missing an opportunity to collect fees.
I would just add that that was why that one of the reorg structures we were looking at was to add an additional supervisor. I will say that just cannot underscore the appreciation of the work that USEF and Brazil have done, but if folks need to know that their day starts at 7 and it doesn't end until 6, and we don't have that level of capacity to help support. Like I think we have come a long way this year to really understanding some of the root causes and the systems that do need to get addressed. But these are not small fixes. These are pretty deep, long history situations that we're trying to unravel and unpack. And given the current situation with the constraints we now have on staffing, it is going to be really challenging for us to address some of those issues at the speed at which we would desire to be able to do that. And we also want to make sure that we're setting up our administrators to be successful in doing that. So I do want to make that caution. Yeah.
I appreciate your candor and caution, even if it's a little hard to hear. You know, I wish we could fix it all yesterday. Sort of related, well, I don't know if it's related, but I also have a question about summer fees, and kind of related to President Brown's questions about can we figure out who's in each tier so that we can really model more effectively how increasing fees might help us close our gap and ideally enroll more students? Are we also modeling what an increase in summer fees might look like and how that might impact our ability to serve more kids in the summer?
Last year, my understanding is last year was the first time of collecting that $720 for summer, and which is why we continued with that fee, just a flat fee for summer this year. Our summer programming in coordination of being fiscally sustainable has gone down to 2 elementary schools and 1 middle school. So with that, we are almost full with just our unduplicated families, which of course, as we know, are not charged. But so that's summer school.
And are we also running a Bears summer program separate from the 2 Learns sites?
Yeah, so Bears has a calendar similar to the Berkeley preschools, so we operate 240 days a year. And so Bears will start on Friday, June 6th, and will go through Friday, August 8th.
I remember back in the day when I was a summer school principal for Bears, when I was when I was in PLI. I just wanted to mention to Director Shinowski's point about zones and City of Berkeley programs. I'm pretty sure it used to be true that there was a City of Berkeley program sort of assigned to each zone, and there was transportation within the zone. Like my kids also went to Malcolm X, and they went to the City of Berkeley program at Willard, and I'm pretty sure Willard was the City of Berkeley program that served all the South Zone schools. So it did help with the transportation. It might have changed in recent years because Willard was under construction. So there may be a model that we can go back to. I think I'll leave it at that.
Vice President Chang.
Yeah, thank you so much for the detailed presentation. I know it's a late evening too. Myself also had my kids in Learns for, I don't know if the grammar just came out correctly. Myself also. Our kids were in Learns for many, many years, and I really appreciated the folks who were taking care of them in those programs across many, many school years. So there's been other questions about the contractors, and I appreciate the work that's been done in reducing the contractor cost of the service you have listed on slide 26 from 1.5 to 1 million. That's $500,000. That's significant. Does that reference the cost that's paid out for the contractors themselves, or does it include some type of fee to the contractor company of Elibo? So in other words, how much of that reduction or how much of that cost from 1.5 million to 1 million is a fee to the contractor company itself versus salary to the contractors?
Well, we don't pay, we just pay per the contract. So we get charged by how many contractors we're using. So that reduction is a result of using less contractors and hiring more ITs.
Okay. So what does that number correlate to in terms of number of employees or contractor staff?
How many?
So the largest proportion of that $500,000 decrease was the result of us negotiating in October with Elevo to reduce their schedule. And so we needed the people power at all the sites, but what we found when visiting sites was that by 5 o'clock, the vast majority of students had been picked up. And so what we went back to Elevo and asked was for them to reduce their schedule from 4 hours a day to 3 hours a day. And it didn't impact our ratios because most students had been picked up. And it did take $500,000 off the contract.
Okay, and I think that's been touched upon in the past. So I just want to make sure it's clear, because this contractor area is, as you know, an important area that's been raised by many folks, including those on the board here.
Yep. I do want to make sure that we're transparent. So part of the reason why we have been bringing the Elevo contract, continue to bring the Elevo contract, number one, it's because of staffing issue, right? Like we have recruitment and retention challenges. This is going to be now my third launch of the beginning of the school year. And one of the challenges that we were trying to solve, so coming in, this was three summers ago, was this overwhelming frustration on the part of parents that we were not able to notify them whether or not they were going to be in after-school programming. And it was really coming up into the beginning of the school year. That was entirely because we were not fully staffed. So one of the ways that we were working to address that was to implement a contract as we headed into summer so that we would have a LEVO staff in place so that we could pull more students off the wait list. So while I know that there's a desire to ensure that we are staffing our programs with our own BUSD employees, that's absolutely what we want. As you saw in our slides, many of our staff members are BUSD alum. There's deep connections that our students and families make with our staff at school sites. And we were trying to address the challenge of not being able to pull families off the wait list. So two things are true. One is we've had the contract, which allows us to pull more families off the wait list. And I think this last summer, what we were doing was just letting folks know, we're not going to be able to pull you off the wait list, and you're going to need to make alternative decisions. So again, when we're trying to make these staffing decisions coming into the year, recognizing that if we maintained everything, we would be running at a deficit, and we have to prioritize the unduplicated students first, there is a high likelihood that we are going to have more people on the waiting list. And I think what we've been hearing from our families, what I know we've been hearing from our families is how we might do a better job communicating. So I just want to be clear, what we might be communicating to them is not necessarily what they want to hear, but we want to make sure that we're communicating with families in enough time to make alternative arrangements.
Yeah, I think that's really, oh, sorry, go ahead. President, go ahead. I think that's really important. I just want to remark, and I think this current board knows that, and this current administration, this issue of having a large wait list in the LEARNS program has been going on since at least 2010. When I first started in the elementary school system here, myself and many other parents wanted to get into LEARNS and were not able to, and that resulted in us pivoting into programs such as JCC, which was a great program, but there is a very high demand. So it's a year-over-year waitlist issue, and I think it's really important to provide notice, as you've referred to, Associate Superintendent, to ensure that there's a lot of communication early on as we try to figure out some of the longer-term recruitment or retention issues.
I do just want to call out the elephant in the room, Jill, because I know that you were too gracious and you're not going to say it, but I know that the decision that the board made last week to keep and retain our coordinators does then significantly impact what you all are trying to do to rethink and re-evolve the program and to essentially be able to save or to not save, but to allow for more students to come off the wait list and to be in the program. So I do want to call that out and identify that the decision that we made does impact that. And how do we utilize and rethink those positions to be able to then receive more students. And so as you're thinking about the new model, coordinator here, specialist here, what does that look like, and how can we utilize those positions to then bring more students in? And if we don't have an answer for that tonight, which is okay, the direction I would like to give is to maybe sit and to think about that and to utilize that, because I think it would be in our best interest to think about, okay, these are the cards that we were dealt, this is the decision that the board made, and so then how do we pivot, how do we shift to reach our ultimate goal, which is to be able to serve more students.
So from a continuous improvement perspective, we call this designing around constraints. So we've been dealt a constraint, and we're going to need to navigate around that constraint, but we also will be clear and articulate what the trade-offs are because of where we are. So as we've talked about, there are staffing ratios. I do want to acknowledge that there have been a number of comments regarding coordinators and that they are providing direct service. We are not discounting that our coordinators are engaging and interacting with our students on the day-to-day, but there are provisions within the guidelines about the roles that administrative staff can play and how and when and if they can count toward a staffing ratio. So all of that with the current configuration of where we have coordinators and specialists, we're going to need to look at, and there might need to be some shifts about where folks are in order for us to cover that need. So that we're a week into reconsidering what that might need to look like, and working as fast as we can to make the best decisions with the least amount of disruption, realizing that we still have those same what do we call it, the guiding principles on the slide of we're going to be clear to everybody, we're maintaining program at all of our current sites. How many students we're able to serve and what that looks like in terms of specialists and coordinators and where folks are spending that time, that configuration might look different.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that response, especially when we're prioritizing our priorities. Our intention is to, try to do our best to keep as many employees in BUSD as possible. And, that was evident in the choice and the decision that the board made. But I do appreciate the ability to pivot and to be flexible and the willingness to shift and the willingness to work collaboratively. I don't know if that looks like working with HR. I don't know what it looks like in negotiations. I don't know exactly what it looks like, but I appreciate the opportunity to shift despite the constraints. So thank you. Thank you all so much for your presentation. And as always, thank you for your work. Have a good evening. We actually need to go ahead and extend our meeting. It is now 10:50. I don't believe we will need until 11:30, but if we all do recall what happened last time, I think it is in our best interest to extend until the latest time possible. So even if we do not need it, we will still have it. And so is there a motion to extend our meeting to 11:30?
So moved.
Moved by Director Shinovsky. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Director Vasudev. All those in favor, please signify with the sign of aye.
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 Opposers, abstentions? The ayes have it, and the motion carries. We are now going to extend our meeting to 11:30. At this time, I am very happy to welcome our action items tonight, which is around the approval of BSEP. And so you'll see that there are 3 action items, 3 votes that the board is going to vote on tonight. And they are all around our BSEP program. And I'm really excited to invite Kathy Fleming, who will introduce our presentation tonight and our presenters.
Thank you, President Brown. Good evening, Board of Directors. Yes, we are here tonight to present to you 3 separate action items. And my name is Kathy Fleming, and I'm the Director of Local Resources and Partnerships here at BUSD. And in this role, I'm responsible for 2 of our local parcel tax measures, the Berkeley Schools Excellence Program and BERA, the Berkeley Educator Recruitment and Retention Act. I am responsible for ensuring that the funding from these 2 parcel taxes is planned, expended, and reported in accordance with measure language. Next slide. Great, okay. So as we begin our presentation, we'll first ground ourselves in our mission to enable and inspire our diverse student body to achieve academic excellence and to make positive contributions to the world by focusing on our 4 E's: excellence, equity, engagement, and enrichment. For tonight, we will share information about our plans for next year for both BSEP and BERA, where we address all 4 of our E's throughout the programs. After our presentation, we'll ask you to take action on each of these items individually. The BSEP and BERA programs collectively address both the goals of the LCAP and our strategic plan pillars. Each of the plans now has a section on how the program activities align with the strategic plan pillars, and these can be viewed in the attachments on the board items. Tonight, as we mentioned, we have 3 items for your review and approval. We have 1 presentation for the 9 BSEP programs that are listed on the slide. Then we will present the Oversight Communications and Translation Program, and then the BERA Recruitment and Retention and Development Program. Also, we have more details on each program's plan in the appendix, as well as information on the updated measure fund balance projections for both the current measure and the next Measure H next year. Just want to pause and say thank you to our co-chairs, Nicole Chabot, who spoke tonight, and our other co-chair, Vicki Davis, who have provided excellent leadership this year in guiding the P&O group to perform their function, and their commitment is always appreciated. The Planning and Oversight Committee is one of the key ways we monitor these measures and allows us to have community input and engagement. They meet twice monthly on average, and they have reviewed each of these plans at least twice, asked questions of managers, and requested follow-up information. The P&O has recommended each of these plans for board approval tonight. One highlight for this year, as Nicole Chabot mentioned in her comments, we made some major changes to the fall schedule and the order of information, and this provided an opportunity for feedback to managers and a much deeper and richer discussion among P&O members and managers. Just a reminder that next year is the first year we're launching our recently approved BSEP measure, Measure H, and we want to pause here and thank the voters of Berkeley for continuing this very important initiative. And on to the first item, which is action item 15.1, which is the approval of the 9 BSEP plans. Some overview information points. As I mentioned, will be the first year of BSEP Measure H. Just to note, we will then have 2 Measure H's in our district. We have the Maintenance and Facilities Tax as Measure H, and we will also have BSEP Measure H. So we're going to identify in board documents and other reports the name of the measure along with the letter, just to avoid confusion moving forward. And as you know, there's no cost of living adjustment in the first year of the measure. That adjustment is set in the tax rate increase in the measure language, and that will generate $45.4 million for programs in BSEP next year. There are some changes to program staffing and program activities, which we'll go over. As usual, we have a 5% reserve for staffing costs, and also we have met our required 3% reserve that is needed. And just a reminder that the majority of the funding goes to teachers and staffing and folks primarily that work at schools with kids, directly supporting kids, students, and teachers, and school communities. And lastly, we will be using some Measure E1 fund balances next year, which we've already determined their uses, and for those which we haven't, we'll have plans that will go before the P&O. And that is permissible as long as the use of the Measure E carryover is in line with the measure language. And as you know, our BSEP measure is divided into 3 major areas. The first is called high quality instruction, which receives 66% of the BSEP allocation. And the first thing we do is satisfy our class size goals. And once we do that, the remaining funds are available for these 4 programs: professional development, program evaluation, classroom support, and expanded course offerings. And our second bucket of programs is the Essentials for Excellence section of programs, and together they receive 27% of the funding. This section also includes the BSEP site plans, which will be incorporated into the school SIPSA plans, and that will be, they are reviewed by the SSCs for each school and approved. So that's how the site funds are reviewed and approved. And the last bucket in this group of programs is our effective student support, which is academic, social, emotional support, and support for our affinity programs, as well as middle school counselors. And now on to the major changes. As you know, we are in the process of balancing our budget for next year. And as such, we look at all of our funding sources to see what can be shifted, changed, or used to offset any needs that we have in our general fund. And this slide has a summary of the changes that we've made, and all of these changes were reviewed by the P&O and incorporated into plans for next year. And next slide, you can review that list. And now we go to action item 15.2, plan for next year for oversight, communications, and translation services.
Director Fleming, can I pause you right here for a second? Can we actually take questions from the board first on the first action item, and then we can move towards the vote for that, and then we'll go into action item number 2. Is that okay for you all? So are there any questions that the board may have for action item number 1? No? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to approve the 2025-2026 BCEP annual plans for, this one is under professional development, program evaluation, expanded course offerings, classroom support, library services, music and VAPA, instructional technology, student achievement strategies, and counseling and behavioral health?
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved by Director Vasudev, seconded by Director Shinosky. All those in favor, please signify with the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposers, abstentions? The ayes have it, and action item number 1 is approved. Let's move on to action item number 2.
Thank you, directors. Action item 15.2 is our oversight, communications, and translation plan, and we have here with our senior communications officer, Trish McDermott, who will offer a little bit of information very quickly.
Thank you, Director.
So sorry, don't feel rushed. Take your time.
Oh, there we go. Better? The Communications Department works to provide clear, concise, and accurate public information and also engagement opportunities across our multiple communications platform and to our diverse community. And we are shifting or continuing to shift our work to be more analytics driven and to use metrics in all of our decision making and planning.
Thank you. Oh, both have to be on. Note that for future folks coming up here. So the Office for Local Resources is responsible for all aspects, as I mentioned, of administering and overseeing the use of BCEP and BARA funds, as well as supporting the work of the oversight and advisory functions of the P&O, or the Planning and Oversight Committee. And additionally, we support the school site councils and the principals with technical support for their budgeting and their development of their site plans. So there's no changes in this plan as of now for the plan that's before you. If there are any staffing changes with the budget adoption, we will bring any changes in the plans to the P&O for presentation as needed when those changes occur. And funds for services and services and supplies remain consistent with the prior year, and we have a carryover in Measure E1. It has not been allocated toward any usage yet, and per the regular procedure, we will take a plan for the use of those carryover funds to the Planning and Oversight Committee. That concludes this information on that item.
I have a quick question. Under program activities, can you be a little bit more specific about our contracted services?
Yes, they refer to contracts that we have for our communications department. Trish, can you provide some information?
Yeah, so these are things like the platforms that we use to deliver our staff bulletin and our A+ news. Other tools we use like social media metrics tools and delivery platforms as well.
As well as translation and interpretation services.
Thank you. If you could go for it, one slide. So our contracted services are under program activities are different than our staffing under translation and interpretation services?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to approve the 2025-2026 annual plan for BCEP and BARA oversight, communications, and translation annual plan?
Approve, do so. Move to do so.
Moved by Vice President Chang. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded You all both said it. Seconded by Director Corn. All those in favor, please signify with the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposers, abstentions. The ayes have it, and action item number 2 passes. If we can please go to action item number 3.
Thank you, President Brown. And for that, I'm going to turn the mic over to our Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources, Samantha Tobias Espinosa.
All right, so this is the BERA Recruitment, Retention, and Development Plan. So Measure E is otherwise known as BERA, and this is a item that was funded in 2020, and this is the plan for 5% of those funds. And so this is the plan that includes our staffing and our resources that help us to be able to recruit and retain our employees. There is another piece to Measure E that is the 95%, which goes directly to salaries, that is not included in this plan. Our goal is to make sure that we're filling all of our shortages and that we are using our tools to best recruit and retain our employees, both classified and certificated. And so we have developed multiple positions within this plan to help us with that. So on this page, you'll see some of the staffing, including the classified professional development coordinator, a coordinator for our BPACT program, which is our pathway for our classified to achieve credentialed status, as well as the TSA who helps support us in our recruitment, retention, and support activities, a special education coach that we have that helps support our special education department and retaining their teachers, a coordinator who helps with our teacher induction program, which they just had a celebration last week, I believe it was, which is the program that helps support our teachers who are new to having a credential and need to get through a 2-year induction program. We also have staff that help support our peer assistance and review program, which is our support for our veteran teachers who need a little bit of extra support, as well as we have a position that we share with the Personnel Commission, which is an admin assistant to help make sure that our recruitment efforts in the classified area continue to improve and move as efficiently and effectively as possible. Again, there are no changes to this plan. Everything is remaining consistent. If there were changes that are end up being made in the budgeting process, we would then take it back to the P&O in the future, as we have had to do in the past. You will see here also some data about our BPAC program. We have a very successful BPAC program. It started with a base grant from the state that we are able to use to help pay tuition and fees for our classified staff to be able to earn their credentials. And we've also been able to secure some additional small grants. Is it Berkeley Public Schools Fund?
Yes, that's correct.
Gave us some additional money that has also helped support this. And we have maintained and retained at least 6 of the people who have graduated through this program as employees. And we keep continuing to have a very high percentage of these participants that become teachers in our district.
And that concludes the information on that action item. And after that, there's 2 more slides, which we can do after the action item, or that are not related to item 15.3 directly.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Is there a motion to approve the 2025-2026 annual plan for BEAR recruitment, retention, and development?
I move that we approve the plan.
Okay, it's been moved by Director Corn. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Director Shinosky. All those in favor, please signify with the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposers, abstentions? The ayes have it, and the motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you, directors. And 2 final slides, just for your information, one on performance measures. And wanted to let you know that for our program metrics or performance measures, we continuously work to broaden program metrics for both implementation measures and outcome measures.
Kathy, now you know we
Okay.
can't see that.
I have my readers, so I don't need a magnifying glass. You all need readers, okay. Okay, and we continue to partner with the P&O and program managers and district leadership in this work. A particular shout out to the Brea team who has rolled up their sleeves and partnered in this work, particularly this year, increasing the measures that we are able to present to the P&O and include in the plans. So this year, we've continued to build out our district's data culture and systems and been able to further improve our work in data collection and reporting for BSIP and BERA programs. And this helps us and the P&O and the general public to help understand our progress toward meeting our goals. And this year, we've included new measures and types of information, such as looking at additional disaggregated participation info and including national standards for program quality, reviewing recommended best practices for staffing ratios, including research that substantiates the program goals and activities, comparing to state metrics, and also using logic models in terms of that helps us understand the connection between our investments, our outputs, and our short and long-term outcomes. We expect to continue to expand this work next year as we continue to align to the strategic plan pillars and priorities and collaborate our measures to larger district measures while also focusing on program measures as well as capturing student and family voice moving forward, which is one of the feedback points from the P&O. And final slide. All right, doesn't matter. So next steps, we're going to review our unaudited actuals for our Measure E1 fund and update our fund balances to inform our potential uses next year and ongoing. And we're also going to be closely monitoring the class size reduction contribution from BSEP, which you heard Nicole Chabot talk about in her comments, to ensure that we can sustain the same level of funding ongoing, or if we need to make adjustments to maintain sustainability of funds. And as I mentioned, continue to work on our performance measures, adding family voice, and then lastly, continue our partnership with the P&O to strengthen our continuous improvement cycle. And that concludes our presentation, and I thank you for your attention to all three items and your continued support of BSEP and BERA. Thank you.
And thank you all as well for your presentation and for your continuous work. All right, we will now move to item 15.4, approval of resolution 25-046 to eliminate/reduce classified positions, and this is the final notice. Assistant Superintendent Tobias Espinosa will invite you to come back for this presentation. Thank you.
I do not have a presentation on this, but I am willing to answer questions. This is one position that was not included in the resolution that you have already voted on, and that was due to an unforeseen consequence where this person did not get a hearing at the same time as everyone else. And so this position is brought forward for your vote tonight.
Board of Education, at this time, if you have questions, comments, concerns, this is the perfect time to raise them. Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
I'll move that we approve.
Okay, it's been moved by Director Corn. Is there a second? It's been moved by Director Corn. Is there a second?
Director Brown, President Brown, it looks like there's not a second. What happens now?
Well, great question. Here's an opportunity for parliamentary procedures. A second doesn't necessarily mean that you are approving the resolution. A second just means that you are showing an opportunity or identifying your readiness to vote. And so if there is a second, then we can take a vote.
President Brown. Yes.
I want to identify or address if there's any unreadiness to vote, and if there is unreadiness to vote, then let's go ahead and address the unreadiness. But if folks are ready to vote, then all we will need is a second to go ahead and move forward with the vote, regardless of what your vote is. If you're voting in approval, or if you are voting in opposition or voting as an abstention, we need to move forward with the vote. And so it has already been properly moved by Director Corn. Is there a second? Okay, I'll second. All those in favor, please signify with the sign of aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Let's do this. We'll do a roll call vote. If you can take the roll.
Director Basabev,
No.
Director Shinosky,
Aye.
Director Corn,
Aye.
Vice President Chang,
Aye.
President Brown.
No. Okay. The vote carries 3-2. We will now move to item 15.5, approval for declaration of need for 2025-2026.
Again, no presentation. This is an annual form that we do that allows us to be able to demonstrate that we have a need to hire people who are not fully credentialed in certain areas. And so we have to go through this process and have this approved by the board before we can hire people who may not be fully qualified, meaning that they're on an intern credential or some kind of waiver.
Is there a motion to, I'll move this one. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor, please signify with the sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposers? Abstentions? The ayes have it and the motion carries. Thank you so much. We have a number of information items on here tonight, including a well-awaited climate literacy update. So please govern yourselves accordingly, as well as with our board policies and ARs that you will see next week on the consent calendar. We have now reached our second opportunity for extended public comment. If there is anyone here for public comment, you may now speak to the Board of Education at this time. We do have a number of cards from earlier today, but I don't see any of those individuals still in the room, and so unfortunately they will not get the opportunity to speak, but can always email the Board of Education if they are interested in being heard on the topics that they wanted to address tonight. In addition, there isn't anyone who is lined up here in person to speak, and there aren't any attendees online who are interested in speaking. And so with that being said, we will move on to extended board member comments. Are there any board member comments? Okay, hearing none, we will now adjourn at 11:16 p.m. Have a great night, everyone.